Though we are returned to Shadowrun Out of Nest and On Edge, and we are in the interview mission. As we had left off, I'm trying to recall here, there was a lot of back and forth-itude, as it were. So you met with Powell. There was a bit of a misstep in the conversation with Powell, and he was able to realize that something was not quite right with the story you were giving him. He was very honest and direct about not being comfortable continuing the conversation with you, and then attempted to get into touch with his employer, who was Pulford. Sybil and Orchid intercepted didn't intercept the call. They prevented Powell from making his call by crashing his phone. Powell then dropped his earpiece, realizing it was the only piece of tech he still had on him that was attempting to give out a signal, and shut off his comm link and ventured in a roundabout way to go try to speak to Pulford in person. Orchid manifest herself from the astral and convinced him to not go see Pulford, and he returned to his building, leaving the rest of you to discuss what method you wanted to use as a follow-up to try and meet the criteria of your employer and ensure that Posey Piper does not take this job, and ideally does not take any job in this same career path. Am I missing anything? Oh wait, sorry. And right, Whiskey.
Yeah.
Another phone call apparently. Whiskey got called in by Pulford. They had a quick conversation. Whiskey let slip essentially that there was money on the table with making sure Piper didn't get into this industry, and recommended to Pulford, just don't release anything for a year. And Pulford said, you know what, I'll take care of this. You go ahead, go about your day, and I'll make sure everything's A-okay. Whiskey came back to the rest of the team, and I believe Whiskey said that she's suspicious that Pulford might be trying to do something diabolical, something to that effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yes.
And everyone's universal reaction was like, well, now we gotta kill the guy.
I don't think that was at all a universal response.
No, that was mine, but I don't want to cause complications for players if I'm going to not be there to clean it up, so I'm not going to push that envelope.
Well, you're free to push that envelope if you wish. As a player, I would not be opposed to that story development, as it were. So just so you know.
Just play to your character and how your character would behave or act in that situation.
Did I miss any other salient points?
We interrupted him with his spirit, told him to go back home before he made it over to Whiskey's boss. And then...
I thought I had mentioned that part.
Did you?
But
okay, then I missed it.
Okay. And I'm just trying to see what time of day it was according to my notes.
2 hours before the interview, I think.
Something like that, 2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been fairly early since we had tried to get him to talk to him at 8 o'clock, so.
Yeah, I think it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock at the absolute latest. So someone has proposed we might have to kill Pulford. That most likely sounds very extreme to the majority of you, especially since Pulford has a lot of power in London, and if he were to disappear in a hurry, that would create quite a power vacuum. Now, it's true you might be able to capitalize on that, but then you'd also have people who are friends of Pulford gunning for you.
Which is why I don't want to be like, hey, let's kill him, because I won't be there to help with the mess afterwards.
Well, yeah, if Pulvert is going out there, I insist on it being a really good plan, or I'm not gonna be involved in it. Because, you know, I'll be very close to the explosion, as it were.
Possibly literally.
Well, the biggest issue we have right now with Whiskey is that you just... Well, we were told not to reveal the person's identity, and we revealed the person's identity.
No,
he
no,
did
no,
not. I
that-
did not.
Nope.
Yeah, their identity has not been revealed. Their alias has already been known to Pulford.
The fact that they're important enough to garner some kind of somebody spending a large quantity of new yen on them is new for him, but beyond that, he doesn't know anything. What he might find out on his own is not something we can control.
Yeah, either way, that was part of the things, though, was not to have this kind of scenario happen. It was part of the deal.
So as for this job right now, I figure, well, either we trust this whole thing with Pulford is a good idea, but I don't. And otherwise, well, we kind of has to maybe stop the girl from getting to that interview. Get to her before she gets to the interview.
Well, here's something that occurred to me. We're supposed to protect during the interview, right? That is part of the job description. Why would her mother think he's in danger during the interview? Does she know something we don't?
No, but what about this? There's other people who know that she's having this interview within the Evo Corp and want to stop a PR disaster before it becomes a PR disaster by whatever means necessary, even if it potentially means upsetting someone else in the company, because that's quieter. Alternatively, someone else in the company wants a raise and think that this would think that she'd be a good bargaining chip. Someone in a different company wants something from Evo. They think she'd be a good bargaining chip. Don't know how they'd get that information, but it's an option.
That's
No, but
how
my
things
point is-
work in the corporate life.
No. You're missing something. You're missing my point. Her mother specifically thinks that for some reason she's going to need bodyguards during this interview.
Oh,
We should probably find out why.
well, I mean, probably to block the cameras from going on, potentially. Don't know exactly what kind of content to expect in front or behind the cameras, whatever the correct term is. I don't imagine it's something that they want actually shown, which is why they want someone there to put a stop to it if it reaches that far. I don't know if we've both misinterpreted or if one of us is right, though.
Well, if
I'll just put this out there as well, that you were informed that you can contact Lewis Earl if you feel there's a pressing need to get in contact with Mrs. Jane.
So if there's a threat from someone else that we don't know about, and then we really want to know about it and think she'd be able to tell us about it, That's our in.
Although, I'm going to say, Mike, you're generally good with people. Why don't you go ahead and roll a judge intention to see if you perhaps read between the lines well enough in character to have some more information revealed.
Okay.
I don't think Paul is a big of a danger though. I mean, he didn't strike me as the type to make snuff films or something like that.
Not that kind of danger. No, I do not think that. I would tend to agree with you.
Okay. So Mrs. Jane was difficult to read. She was keeping her emotions in check very well. The phrase life and livelihood, however, is a bit of a corpse speak. It is a turn of phrase that shows up with some frequency in the corporate world. It doesn't necessarily mean that Mrs. Jane had knowledge of anyone threatening Posey's life, but just to make sure everything's absolutely clear, she doesn't want Posey to die for any reason due to this job, or your job of making sure she doesn't take that job.
Okay.
And livelihood, in the context of the corporate world, especially now that you realize Posey is the daughter of Mrs. Jane, who is the head of HR for Evo in London. Livelihood in this context really is just Mrs. Jane doesn't want any negative publicity or blackmail material to exist that might compromise Mrs. Jane's position within the company.
Well, that is something we can take care of without too much problem. We've got 2 hackers. Just because the camera's running doesn't mean that whatever it records will exist 5 microseconds after it's recorded.
Oh, well, that's very good then.
So at the very least, we can pretty much guarantee that that the immediate problems are taken care of. We can pretty easily make sure that the video recordings are compromised, and Whiskey's chat with her boss makes me think that, well, he may have something up his sleeve, but that whatever it is, it probably doesn't involve her doing porn. So, the question is now, what are we going to do beyond that, if anything? I mean, obviously we want to stake this place out just in case something does jump off.
Well, I am kind of hoping we can maybe, as I said, intercept this Piper and maybe have a chat with her before she goes into that. Maybe we can talk some reason into her. Though I believe little Orchid, I think the name was, doesn't figure our diplomatic chances all too much.
No, I'm not 100% sure on those chances either. One would imagine that her mother would have a better chance of pulling that stunt than we do. Or maybe not. I don't know. Tell you what, Sybil Orchid, can you see what you can dig up on the Posey Piper alias? See if there's a residence under that name?
Out of character, I believe we attempted that last week.
No, we looked up the legal name.
Okay. Okay.
And Sybil has a sprite on that.
Okay.
All right. And Whiskey and Mike, if you could each give me another judge intention roll, please. Well,
Wow.
okay. Mike, your conversation with Powell earlier. There's obviously different definitions of the word decent, it seems, and Powell is certainly operating under his own mantra based on your understanding of the word decent. But you definitely get the distinct feeling that Powell has a set of rules that he abides by. Whether or not those are ethical in your point of view is entirely up to you. I mean, you are a Shadowrunner after all. The ethics even exist for you. But Powell certainly has a code of conduct.
If only there was a way for us to find out what that code of conduct was.
Does anyone want to make a common sense roll?
Sure. Even though the judge was horribly failed.
It's technically not directly related, a whiskey, so by all means, anybody can make the roll.
Yeah, that comment from Mike would probably have been something that Mike would have said in character. You know, this guy seems to play by some set of rules. Too bad we don't know what they are.
Does that include Sybil can roll that as well?
Absolutely. Anybody can roll for this one. And Kara, let me get you your numbers because Orchid has something ridiculous for this. 16 for Orchid.
Christ. All of our dice pools are so flippin' high.
Oh, ask her to do something physical.
Yeah, but that's true for Sybil too. So.
And Prodigy. Where's the physically adept hacker at? Athena, would you like to give it a shot as well?
I can. It's gonna be low.
You
And
might
that's
get
an
lucky.
interesting-
You didn't get lucky.
I also not impersonated.
Sorry, El Diablo, you were saying?
That's an interesting concept idea you brought up there. Maybe I'll make Alistair something of that. I don't know.
But those of you who got 4 hits, well, Powell, like Mike said, Powell's got a code of conduct. If only there was a way to find out what it was. Well, I mean, he is the producer of multiple films. Pursue that how you want to.
Are you implying that we should probably just quickly stream through all of his productions and get it?
That's not what I'm recommending. If you want to do that, however, I'm sure if you could potentially find a clue, but there's something else I was hoping to hint at.
I have an idea, but I won't say it.
Well, Frosty, maybe you should.
I don't know how much it will help, but it's on the same lines. Just look at his filmography, not the whole, every video itself.
You're like saying IMDb him?
Yeah, that gives some kind of clue. You don't need to watch every single video, like Bobo suggested.
And would that be in character from Athena Twister?
I got a 1, so it's not.
Okay.
But yes, that was where my brain was going too. If he's been a producer in this many videos, he's worked with people before. People who maybe will be willing to talk to us.
Map. And yeah, who knows? Maybe it tells us something more of his character.
Orchid says, I have another dumb idea. She says, "We may be able to get leverage on the boss of whiskey. Perhaps if we manage to get something on him or his other actresses or actors, we could use that to get him to lay off her."
Maybe
I
not
don't-
Whiskey's boss, but Powell, maybe.
I think that might be a decent long-term thing, but nothing that will help us dealing with the current situation. I don't think that would yield results quick enough to deal with the current situation all that well. But that might be handy to maybe stop him from, well, doing some horribly foolish blackmail attempt or something.
Orchid says, "Well, you know his business, right? What other shady shit is he into?"
Oh, where do I start?
"We could use you to get some evidence we can drop on his desk and the like." Out of character, Orchid's starting to sound like Grim.
Out of character, Pirate would approve of this of her sister doing something good with her life.
In character, I do not much like the word use here, but I get your meaning. Still, that's a big risk for me to take, so that'll require some thinking.
Well then, let's start doing some digging on Powell. I think that's should be our immediate focus.
Okay, and how do you want to go about digging on Powell? How difficult was that threshold, Orchid? I am not 100% sure what word you meant to type there.
I think tough.
All right, so Orchid will say quietly, "That might be tough then."
Let's find out if anybody Powell's worked with significantly prior to this, so basically an IMDb search, so to speak, no longer works for that company. We probably won't get a whole lot of luck trying to talk to people who are currently employed with him, but anybody who used to work with Powell might be willing to be persuaded with some drinks.
Well, we're still on a very tight time limit right now before her interview is supposed to be up in a few hours.
Yeah, so
Aye, if you want, I can patrol the neighborhood again and keep watch while, so we don't get caught unawares.
well, in the meantime, I guess I'll try a data search on that.
And Kara, if you want to know what Orchid's data search dice pool is, I believe it is 17.
How is Sybil's new sprite doing?
As I recall, we only made one roll so far for it.
I haven't made any rolls for it.
Okay, what
I made it, but it hasn't done anything since.
and what was its rating?
Uh,
And Kara, you have to specify exactly what your data searching in particular. Also, rest well, Frosty.
I believe it was a rating 6.
Okay. So rating 6 will mean, I believe, 18
User
SR4.
disconnected from your channel.
right, well, in the meantime, Orchid, your data search on the address or information on the alias Posey Piper will reveal that basically on a few of her blog posts, she mentions that she stays at a friend's place. No mention of who the friend is or where that place is. You might have to do another data search to correlate additional information. Mike, 4 hits on ex-Powell employees. Doesn't seem to be many ex-employees.
Well, any is better than none.
More to the point, there's plenty of ongoing employment under Powell.
Okay.
So perhaps you would want to tweak your search a bit, or do you want specifically the ones who are no longer working with Powell?
Let me think on that.
Alrighty. And when you say employees, that includes all aspects of production or just the actresses?
All aspects.
Okay.
Camera people, anybody who would have had significant contact with Powell himself.
And the data search for comm links belonging to Posey Piper. So that information, Sybil, you would be able to ascertain a account for social media that Posey Piper has, but you would need to basically requisition from that social media company for her specific comlink identification, or hack into their database and retrieve that information. Or possibly go on to what's equivalent to dark web or something like that, a data haven, to see if anyone else has already drawn up that information and released it for other people to observe. Orchid did, I'm guessing that's another data search, looking for more information relating to friend and her place. So correlating Orchid, you won't get an exact address, but you will be able to tell that this friend's place on the London map is basically in the Whitechapel area, because there's reference in her blog posts to a few coffee shops or clubs that exist in that neighborhood. And Mike, you'd basically get a list of, let's say, 3 ex-actresses, 1 ex, I guess just camera operator. Camera operator, there we go. And 2 ex-editors slash production assistants. Orchid says, okay, so she's likely staying with a friend in the Whitechapel area. Perhaps, if I had more help, feigns a cough, we could try to correlate some of the photos on her blog, etc., to locations, or check from when posts were sent from her friend's place to ones from places of interest to try and narrow it down. Desperado, are you typing at the moment?
I am indeed. I had an idea for a second data search to do.
Ah, okay. Desperado, do you have hot sim VR sim module,
Cold sim.
cold sim. All right. Yeah. Well, cold sim's still. Yeah. All right. Carry on.
Now, are any of his employees doing a location shoot or something where they wouldn't be like in this actual building?
That information you won't be able to ascertain with this short of a time frame and that few hits.
All right.
Because I imagine you're not spending a full hour trying to search that
No,
information.
no. Okay. So that would probably mean that yes, the former employees are probably the best bet.
You don't want to ask current employees?
Well, I don't want to ask current employees that are like in the building. I'd want to get them away from.
Bear in mind that this is his personal residence. He conducts the interviews in his apartment.
I'm sure you're hinting at something, but my brain's not meshing there.
It isn't a film studio. The building you're looking at isn't the film studio.
Oh, I thought you said it was like everything. Okay.
No, I'm saying he's got a setup in there where he can do casting couch recordings.
All right. Well, then in that case, yeah.
It's part of the Pulford Entertainment Incorporated, so chances are good that it's at the Hammersmith.
All right.
How much would it be the same role if I were to have my sprite start searching the dark web and data havens for Cozy Piper's comlink?
Do you have a subscription to any existing data havens at the moment?
No, because I lose those after a week.
So you'd basically have to first try to locate something that might have that information for you, and that is not a quick search. That is a lengthy search.
Okay. Since it's my sprite doing it.
Yep,
Would
you
that-
can basically send the sprite off to do that. How many tasks did you get for that sprite?
I think it was 3. And the
Alright,
task
so-
she gave it was strictly find Posy Piper's comlink info and report it to me.
Right, so one task has been used up.
Has it when it hasn't found her info?
It can continue doing the cursory searches across the matrix, but it's not. Sprites have a limited intellect. They're a lot like agents. It's not going to choose to go into the dark web for the same task of find that contact information. So if you leave it alone, it'll continue to search to the best of its abilities. If you want to change the parameters of that search, that will be another task.
Then she will do that. She will change the parameters.
All
Search.
right, so focus specifically in the dark web for that information.
Yes.
Okay.
Will that be another data search roll then?
Yep, just bear in mind this is something that will be happening in the background that I'll give you the results. No, see, it's not appropriate. Okay. I'll need you to remind me later on when those results come in.
Okay.
Whiskey has a crazy idea. What crazy idea is that, El Diablo?
Alright, here's an idea. I mean, what if we just, we would need to disguise ourselves a little bit, but I think we can do that. Then we just make a whole bunch of signs with various homophobic slurs and creeds on it, and just go and pick it in front of the building. That should scare her off.
I don't think it actually would, though.
And also get you arrested in a hurry.
Oh, was the right to protest?
Not when it's hate speech.
Ah, well, we'll just make it more biblical then, or some such nonsense.
Out of character, England doesn't quite work the same way as the United States or anything else.
Yeah, I know.
They don't look kindly on that.
Yeah, I believe so, indeed. But still, is an idea, an emergency idea.
One that's liable to get you tasered.
Yeah. I'd like to see people taser whiskey.
As long as they're not tasering Sybil.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of you would have to roll some kind of composure to even accept Whiskey's idea as tangentially acceptable.
Yeah.
Orchid's Sarah's comment.
But, Athena, now that you're back, is there any particular tasks or activities you'd like to do? We've basically had Mike collecting some information on people who might know Powell. Orchid has ascertained that Posey stays at a friend's place in the Whitechapel area. And Sybil, you could have an opportunity to do something as well if you... Like you've set your sprite off to do its task. What is Sybil herself going to do? Also, I believe Whiskey and Okami, are you both basically keeping an eye on the building just to see if any potential threats show up? Or Okami, do
Yeah,
you
I'm
have
just-
other... Oh,
No, I'm trying to both listen in and keep an eye out so I'm not astrally projecting. I'm just looking around where we're currently located magically as best as I can because I also want to make sure I can listen in on the conversation at the same time.
so why don't you go ahead and summon a number of Watcher spirits, and they can keep an eye out for you, while you can also keep an eye on your augmented reality.
Let's see.
12.
I think Sybil's course of action will be to try and detect Powell's comlink once more. Because if I remember correctly, we only found his earbud.
That is correct. Which I believe is still in the mall shopping space, because when Mike found it, he left it where he found it.
Yep.
All right, so you go ahead and make that roll. And sorry, Twister, what was it that Athena was planning or doing?
Now that we know that, she's at first starting to try to keep her calm and think if there's any other option than potentially having to kill him if he's going to investigate our VIP, potentially figure out who she is, blackmail her, get us in bed with Evo Corp. So
When
she
you say
can't-
he, I assume you mean Pulford?
yes,
Okay.
not Powell, Pulford.
So are you saying you want Athena to roll a composure?
Yeah, that's probably the best option.
After all, she does have an aversion to failure.
Correct. Okay. That's fine.
No failures around there. Good rolls.
Well, there's technically 2 failures. Or 7, either way. To do with that. Well, we haven't collected the information yet, have we?
Which
Like,
information?
Sybil is still lurking?
Which information? We've collected quite a bit.
That's true. I'm trying to think of what we're missing, because I know that we have a lot. But I know that we haven't gotten in contact with our it's not Johnson, it's
Mrs.
Johansson.
Jane.
Jane.
Yes. See, in corporate lingo, she is your Mr. Johnson. She
Yep.
just personally has an objection to that term being used on her.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking Joanne. I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
I'll keep that in mind for the future, though. Thank you.
No problem. I'm currently stuck at the moment. I'm sorry. I don't know what the next step for her would be at the moment.
Would she feel any need to contact her own personal hacker or her? Well, she's still in Athena mode, so
Yeah.
she wouldn't think to
Nope.
contact her corporation. But she
Nope.
might. Does she feel comfortable with Orchid and Sybil, or would she contact her husband to?
Well, that's the thing, is that I don't know off the top of my head, out of character, what extra information she might look for.
So Mike was looking at ex-employees related to Powell's film credentials, basically on IMDb. But he's not looking for currently employed people who work with Powell. He's looking for people who have decidedly separated ways from Powell.
Yeah. I'm guessing the reason behind that is more or less they're more likely to be honest and less likely to be, oh, he's a good person, because there was a reason that they left, versus someone who might be sticking around because they want money versus someone who's sticking around because they actually enjoy the job. So I understand the idea behind that.
Do you want to assist Whiskey in patrolling the premises, looking for potential threats?
Didn't we already do that?
Continuing to do so is the question. Whiskey, she feels that her best talent right now is just basically walk her back and forth up and down the street, keeping an eye out for shady people.
Yeah, because she does not have anything with data search or any magical abilities or such, so I have, as a player, as well as in character, I have no idea how I could help there other than, yeah, keep an eye out.
Speaking of El Diablo, why don't you go ahead and roll a active visual perception?
So that's a +4, and then your visual modifiers for your equipment.
Something
Maybe
else.
I have it noted.
Something else you could attempt to do, Athena, is basically roll leadership to inspire the subordinates, as it were.
Call it Pink. What do you mean Pink lost my number? What? Alright, I'll do that. Do I get the mystical bonuses?
The which bonuses, sorry?
The bonuses from being an adept that I have?
Yeah, if you're talking face to face with any of your co-workers.
Alright.
Except Sybil's in VR.
So is this just going to be a general, what's the word? Morale, yeah, kind of a morale thing though. Like you're convincing everyone that we don't have to go to scorched earth yet. We've still got time. We've still got options. Is that basically?
More or less.
Okay.
Because worst case scenario, we simply stop the interview from happening one way or another. Worst case is that we get we get a magician to knock him out, make it so he doesn't answer the door, clean their path, and then vamoose. And so she doesn't have the interview, and we have a lot more time. to have an answer. You know, put that on the table. But leadership role, 3 hits.
Not bad. So if anyone rolls a composure for any reason, you will get a +3 bonus on that first composure roll. Once you've used up that bonus, however, it does dissipate.
All right. So, Whiskey, I've got a list of some of Pal's ex-employees, but it occurs to me he's got a bunch of current employees right across the street. So, think you could help me figure out where in the Hammersmith they're probably doing their thing and help me get to talk to some of those people? We need to learn more about this guy.
Oh yeah, probably. We'll need to do it kind of subtly. I don't think, I mean, the boss probably still is a bit on edge around me, but yeah, sure.
Well, hopefully this won't get your boss involved.
And Orchid will say, could the big lass walk in there without trouble? Or is she too low on the totem pole?
I think I can go wherever within the Hammersmith at least.
Whiskey, you know there's a few rooms that you're not supposed to go into without, like, Beckett or Pulford specifically instructing you to go into those rooms. But as far as, you know, going into... You've got a lot more leeway with the rooms you can go into compared to some of the other employees. And Orchid will say, oh, that's good, so you can be useful. That will help. All right, so I'm just going to quickly do a rundown of who's doing what, just so that we can kind of square this away. Okami, you've got Watcher Spirits right now. Just the one Watcher Spirit, was it?
I roll for 2. Both for 2 hours.
2 hours, but only one Watcher Spirit.
No, I roll for 2 Watcher
Oh,
Spirits.
I see. Okay, so 2 hours for each of them. Okay.
Yeah, I was double checking the drain resist rules just to make sure I wasn't doing it wrong.
Okay,
That's why there
so
was a delay.
go ahead and roll 6 SR4 for each of those spirits. And then what are you personally doing, Okami?
Just personally looking through, not actually projecting, but just gonna look out myself as best as I can in the flesh.
Sorry, so you're using perception or a sensing?
A sensing in person.
Okay, and remember, anytime you're sensing, you cannot see your augmented reality. So, if anyone's sending text messages, for example, Sybil, you will not be able to see those until you switch off your astral vision.
But I can at least put it to notification while I hear a chime, at least.
That's very true. You could even set up text-to-speech as long as you've got rating 3 or higher on your comm link.
Let me check that actually. I think I might actually just do it that way, just so it's easier. What does it need to be? What needs to be rating 3?
The comm link in general, like just rating 3 across the board, firewall could be low, signal could be low, but system and rating should be at least
No, it's
3.
2 across the board.
2 across the board, then nah, you're not going to have that option.
Okay, I can at least put it on to notification chimes.
But even still, go ahead and make those 3 rolls. Your sensing and the 2 6 SR4s for each of the watchers. And these watchers, they're external of the building, or are they going inside the building?
They're just doing, They're just doing, one is right next to the building, just going around. And the other one is a little bit farther out, just going up and down the blocks, trying to look for stuff.
Well, they will be spotting things appropriate to London. So, auras which could potentially result in something that could threaten this job, considering there's a lot of magical entities and spirits and the like. However, none of them seem to be focused on the building, and they just seem to be going about their daily business. Similarly, Okami would be able to read the auras of people going in and out of the building, and nothing suspicious. Doesn't seem to be anybody who's hiding anything significant or, has illegal cyberware up the wazoo, nothing like that. No hostility, no scheming that you can really register that would be related to your current job.
Okay, that's fine. So at least make sure, just pop out real quick, send a message out that says, hey, nothing magical out of the ordinary. Everything seems normal.
Okay. Whiskey, you did a visual perception with 3 hits. Likewise, you aren't seeing anything out of the ordinary in this area. Just seems to be a lot of people going about their daily business. I imagine you would not do anything to be arrested for loitering again. Not that the police are as strict in this area, but I mean, if somebody's giving you, sorry, you were saying something?
No, I was about to say something, but you weren't done, so continue.
Basically, I imagine if Whiskey, if she gets dirty looks from anyone, she would be slightly confrontational, but not adversarial.
Yes, indeed.
So why don't you go ahead and roll an intimidation for me as well, with a +3 bonus because you're big. Yeah, absolutely no one gives you any trouble. They're just they're not looking to tango with you.
Yeah, and a fair number of the locals would probably know Whiskey from around
Yeah,
this neighborhood,
that-
so yeah.
That's true enough. And she's dressed nicely today, isn't she? She's not like in
Yes,
her,
she was dressed nicely to meet Pal,
Okay.
so I imagine she still is dressed very nicely. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, in that case, she's not getting any stink eyes really. I had thought she was maybe like in her leather jacket, looking a little bit punkish, but no, no issue there. Okay, Weston Mike, you had collected a few names. Were you doing anything with those?
I could try and find some current contact info on them, but I figure we'll try the Hammersmith first, and then if that doesn't pan out, I'll go back to that. Because if it does, there's no point chasing down those leads further.
Okay, so you've got 6 names, but you're not following up on them right now. Instead, you're just walking into the Hammersmith with Whiskey was your plan?
Pretty much. If that, yeah. We can follow up on them later. It's good to have them. But for now, let's see if we can just get some... Let's see if we can do it the easy way.
Okay. Sybil, you were looking for his comlink to show up again.
Yes.
It's going to be a while, and it will eventually reconnect. But first, I'd like to start with Whiskey and Mike to see what they do before you get that reestablished connection, as it were. Athena, you were giving some leadership and morale. Any other particular activities? Twister appears to be typing.
Sorry. Sorry, I just got a new roommate moving in, so I'm a little bit distracted.
Okay. So are you up for this at the moment, or do you have to focus on
Yes.
that? Okay.
No, they're currently speaking to race bears
Okay,
because
so
they're related.
what is Athena's current activities?
Probably she'd join whiskey at some point.
All right,
Because-
so she's going to join Whiskey and Mike going into the Hammersmith? Or she's going to replace Whiskey patrolling the street?
Replace whiskey.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and do a visual perception roll active?
Okay.
And I think Kara's still AFK, but realistically, Orchid was doing what kind of data search? Oh, she's back. Okay, so Orchid, you were trying to get Posy's location, correct? Are you going to continue with that, or okay? So why don't you give me a well, it's the same dice pool as usual. It'll be analyze, so 17 SR4 to basically correlate your information and see how quickly you can get an answer. And Athena, just like Whiskey, you're not seeing anything, out of the ordinary. It's day to day. Nobody's looking shifty. Nobody's looking like they're packing heat.
Okay.
Orchid, that will not be enough hits for you to get a solid answer. However, you can, start to triangulate down to a few theoretical locations that might make sense. And additionally, Orchid will have uncovered that the friend in question has a casual, intimate relationship with Posy, but again, no name revealed for whatever reason. A huh from Athena or a huh from Twister?
Twister.
Potential leverage is what Orchid is considering that information. Interesting. Okay, so Mike and Whiskey, you'll be entering the Hammersmith. Whiskey, you know that there are various adult entertainment enterprises that exist within this building, with studios for Tridio and SimSense recordings, as well as more kinky studios in the basement. What did you have in mind, given the fact that Powell works specifically with the kinkier side of the business?
I saw Mikey, here's the thing, is with the thing. I think we would need to get into the basement territory if you really want to be more related to what Paul is currently doing.
Okay. Too bad there's not a directory of this place, but, well, you seem to know your way around pretty well.
Whiskey is essentially the directory in this case. I mean, it's not exactly... They advertise, but they don't advertise as much detail as, say, a more reputable studio would. So who in particular are you looking to speak with, Mike? Or are you just going to waltz into a studio and just say, hey, who knows Powell?
Well, first I just want to let's do some reconnaissance first. Who's around? Who might know Powell? We have a pretty good idea specifically what LSC works. What their product is. So I have a feeling if we just take a look around, we can probably get a good idea what's going on here.
Well, it's pretty early in the day, so it's a Monday, is it? So I suppose what would make the most sense is each of you rolls an edge roll here, Whiskey and Mike.
Well, not too much of that left, but I'll roll it.
Okay. So there will be something being recorded right now, but the door is locked and the red light is on outside of the room. So somebody is filming something or sim sensing or whatever. There's also an editor who is currently in full VR. The door to his room is open, but he's slumped in his chair, and basically a bunch of monitors in front of him flicker at the speed of thought as he edits and splices some data together.
Does there appear to be a way I could jack into the system that he's using? I mean, I know we don't use physical data jacks anymore, but
Well, do you have a fiber optic cable?
probably not.
Okay. There are some cables that are like tucked away in a corner. Do you want to use one of their cables and try to plug in?
Sure, why the heck not? What's the worst that could happen?
Your
Do you
brain
want
will
the
get
answer to
fried.
that question?
Even I know that's just plugging cables into your head is at random is not a great idea.
Well, I was assuming that I could tell the difference between a data jack and, a coaxial cable leading to a monitor or something.
But yeah, no, that you are not inept with computers, so by all means, that's something you can default on. You don't even have to roll. That's an automatic success. The issue here is you asked what's the worst that could happen. Do you actually mean to ask that question?
That was not in character, I'll put it to you like that.
Not necessarily in character, but do you as a player want to roll to see what Mike might know could happen by doing something like this?
Sure, that would probably be a smart thing to do.
Okay. What is his computer skill?
That is a total of 7.
Okay, go ahead and roll that. Okay, so it's very likely that if Mike plugs in, the video editor person will immediately know Mike has done so. Unless, of course, he's distracted. He looks like he's probably distracted. On the other hand, there could be agents or black ice running on this system. In which case, if Mike just plugs in willy-nilly, he might get bitch slapped by the security system saying, "You're not supposed to be here, boy."
All right, I guess that would be an issue. Because I was actually hoping to talk to him without bringing him out of VR, but perhaps that's simply the smarter thing to do, so I'll just try tapping him on the shoulder. See if that can get his attention, even though he's in VR.
Oh, I wanted a drum on his head.
Well, if this doesn't work, you're welcome to try it.
A simple tap on the shoulder will not be enough. So, Whiskey, what were you going to do?
Basically, just starts drumming on his head, like with flat, first softly and then maybe harder as until he gets out of it.
Okay, so it'll take a few seconds, but eventually the screen will pause and the guy will groan and reach up to the back of his head and pull out the cable from behind his ear. And he'll turn and he'll look at the two of you and say, "Fuck's this?"
Well, that's Whiskey.
Hi, top of the morning to ya.
Right, you're the bartender, right?
Hi, I'm the kind of doorwoman, general helper roundabout here.
And he points to Mike and you.
Friend of hers. People call me Mike. I was hoping I could have a word with you if you aren't too busy.
well, I need to get this thing done by 5 o'clock today. Um, what the hell's this about?
What is that anyway that you're working on?
Just working on splicing some incense together.
I was just wondering if any of the, if anybody from Lock Shot Cock was floating around today.
He'll look up and down at you and say, "What? Are you a fan?"
Yes.
Sure, Mike will go with that.
So go ahead and roll con for me, Mike. You can also roll to see how well your software has analyzed this guy, but only half the hits will count rounded up.
Okay.
I would try to help, but it probably won't help much.
Well, just from having whiskey there next to you, I'll give you an automatic +2 here, Mike. She lends credulence. So you'll get a +1 from the empathy software and a +2 from whiskey. He'll sigh and say, "I'm sorry. Look, I'm not the person to talk to if you're looking to get autographs or anything for like just whiskey. You can't bring fans in here, even if they are your friend. I mean, this is a business. We're conducting a business here."
Oh, well, I was thinking he might have some talent to help out around here. He does seem like a very capable fellow. I mean, he logged into that computer system and everything.
Sorry, out of character. He what?
Logged into your computer system and
No,
everything.
no, he didn't. He
Oh,
didn't
okay.
do that. Remember? You
Oh,
instead
okay. I thought he
decided to
did
just.
it, but it wasn't effective. Okay.
Well, no, he decided it's too risky, so instead tried poking the guy.
Ah, okay.
It's like, no, wait. This is the kind of company where black ice actually might be an issue.
And he'll look at Mike again and say, "I mean, Powell usually decides that kind of stuff for that particular studio. Do you know Powell? Pete Powell?"
No, I mean, I know of him, but I haven't had a chance to meet him in person. You know, what kind of guy is he like? Would he be the kind of person who'd actually give me the time of day?
Yeah, no, he's not like most people in the industry. I guess that's the best way to put it. I mean, if you want, I can give you his contact number, and then you can leave me to do my work. Sound good?
I guess, but what do you mean by he's not like most people in the industry? I mean, you know,
I figured he was a pretty standard fella from what I've seen of that company.
Sorry, was that standard or stand up?
Standard, yes, standard.
Okay. So go ahead and roll a leadership here, Mike. Again, getting a +2 from whiskey. And your empathy software, I'll say it's bumped up one more die by this point.
these are abysmal rolls for that dice pool.
Do you have any edge left?
I do. I have lots of edge left, so I'll probably use some.
Well, 11 hits. That's substantially better.
That's an edge point that was worth it.
Yes. All right. And the guy's like, okay, look. I mean, whiskey. I mean, word gets around. You work for Beckett. And Beckett works for Pulford. have you told, and he like indicates Mike with his head, have you told him about Beckett and Pulford?
I've told him enough about Beckett or Pulford without, well, it causing troubles for Beckett or Pulford.
Right. So Mike, right? That was your name? Look, Mike, Beckett and Pulford are the kind of people you don't fuck with. Because things happen and it gets unpleasant. I mean,
I heard beaten to death with a dildo.
he looks at Whiskey like, why the fuck are you mentioning that? And then he takes a deep breath and he looks back to Mike and says, so when I say Powell doesn't really fit in here, it's because most of the people who work here, we understand how Pulford operates. And for one reason or another, Pulford's the guy we work for. All right? Powell, I don't know why he's working for Pulford. Man, he could be with a legitimate studio. Oh, shit, I shouldn't say that. Ignore what I just said with that L word, please.
What? Say what? I didn't hear anything.
Good, cool. But yeah, like Powell, I don't know why he's slumming it, basically, is what I'm saying. He could be with like a triple H, you know? So
Really?
I kind of get the impression that he's here doing charity work, right? Like all the other productions I work on, the girls we use, or the boys, depending on which production it is, generally the directors, the producers, they don't give a toss. You know, if they burn them out, they burn them out. Whatever. It's the meat grinder, right? You know, Powell, he doesn't work that way. He still makes great stuff, but he doesn't burn his girls out. He takes care of them.
Who knows? Maybe that's part of the reason why he makes great stuff.
Well, yeah, no, no, but I'm just saying he doesn't fit in here, but because he does good work, he's allowed to fit in here. And if I had to guess, the reason he works here and not at a triple A company is because he wants to kind of change the industry, you know? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'd wish him good luck with that. He's gonna need it.
What the fuck you mean by that?
Well, there's people like
Industries
me
don't
working
generally
for
change
Pulford.
just because of one person. I mean, you know, I work for a company too. They don't tend to change just because one person says, I'm going to change everything.
Man, you'd be surprised. I mean, this guy, he's had an effect, you know? Like, I mean, sure, we aren't like... it's not like all the other directors are cleaning up their act just because of him, but, I mean...
If any of them are, that's still progress.
Yeah, you know, like that's what I'm saying. Like he's had an effect. He has a certain charm about him. You get it?
I
Yeah.
know Pulford kind of,
Well,
Pulford likes him.
Mike would kind of slap him on the back a little. I'll let you get back to it, man. I'm sorry we've taken you away from your work for so long.
And I realize I've been pressing the wrong button while talking. Great.
So what did Whiskey want to say?
Well, Whiskey basically just commented like, I know Pulford kind of likes him.
Pulford likes his work. I'll say that. And actually, you know what? I should clarify. Pulford doesn't like Powell's work. He likes the money Powell makes because of his work.
And at that point, everything else goes out the window.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, out of character. Were you saying that yourself?
Yeah, that was out of character. Out of character. If you're making Pulford money, I'm imagine he's the type of person who nothing else matters at that point.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if Mike was saying that or if Desperado was saying that.
In this case, Desperado is saying that.
All right. Did either of you have any other questions for this tech head?
I did not. Whiskey?
No, I don't think so either.
All right, then. So, like I said, we'll let him get back to his work and just kind of slip off the premises.
All right, he will give you Powell's contact info as he said he would, and he'd also say, you know what, here's his address. You know, he usually conducts interviews in person there, so it's just down the street.
Yeah, thanks.
Might give that a go sometime.
Well, unless, and the guy points at Whiskey's groin and then pulls his finger back. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna get back to work, and like without even waiting for any more conversation, just plugs the wire back into the back of his ear.
All right.
Whiskey just quickly grabs her crotch right before he plugs himself in.
So information has been acquired. Mike, does this give you any additional plans? Whiskey, yourself? Are you sharing this information with the rest of the team?
I would be more than willing to share the information with the rest of the team. And yes, it is giving me a number of, well, maybe not so much plans, but questions and leads, things of that nature.
Yeah, not so much on my end, but I'm glad to hear Mike has gotten enlightened.
This guy could be making a lot more money in much nicer places. That means he's here for a reason. If we find out what that reason is, assuming that he wasn't correct, he's doing it just because he wants to try and change the world, so to speak, then that tells us very useful things.
Okay, and so you've shared that information with everyone else. Around this time, Sybil, you'd realize that his comm link has been turned back on, and he is now resubscribing all of his devices to his comm link.
Okay. He's just going to monitor it to see if a signal starts leaving the building.
So go ahead and do a trace.
And that would be...
I believe you'd have to thread it.
Okay. So she'll drop her current thread. Okay, she'll keep that one, so she's resisting one fade.
Or is that with the -1 modifier from your stun damage?
Yes.
Okay.
Normally she has a +2 and her dice pool is 11 because of it. So with the -1, it's 10. Okay. Oof.
How many of those are you keeping?
3. Taking another stun point.
All right, so you have a total of 4 for your tracking.
Okay, so reading for trace. Does VR help in this situation at all?
If you are in VR, VR will always give you the +2. Unless, of course, you're doing something. Any hacking activity will receive a +2. Technomancer specific abilities like threading or compiling do not gain a VR bonus because those are literally just happening in your head.
So rating for trace, VR bonus. At the -1 penalty, that means at a dice pool of 14.
Okay. So you'll just be keeping an eye on things for now. Okami, you were keeping an eye on the Astral. Whiskey and Mike, are you doing anything else at the Hammersmith? Or anyone else you want to question? Or are you on your way out?
I was planning on being on my way out.
Whiskey will do one thing while she's at the Hammersmith. She'll basically go, just one moment, I quickly gotta get something from my room. And she will actually go to her room and grab her small little shotgun and kind of hide it in one of her pockets.
I don't know if hiding it in a pocket is necessarily. What is the outfit she has?
That would be the Wellington Bros Siamese fashion.
So, a suit. A relatively nice one.
A suit.
All right. So she could have it in her suit jacket that might have a bit of a bulge, but it wouldn't be obviously a shotgun.
Okay, yeah, and it's the Defiance T24 250
Yep.
short
And
barrel.
What's the concealability rating on the right-hand side there?
One second. A +1.
Okay. So you'll be at a -1 if you have it inside your jacket.
Okie doke then.
Because remember, negative value is better for concealability. Okay. Orchid, what were you up to again? You were trying to triangulate a location. So go ahead and give us another analyze roll. Okay, very nice. Orchid, Athena, sorry, not Orchid, Okami, Athena, anything new for either of you, or are you just continuing to patrol?
Just maintaining my patrol.
He's going to continue patrolling, which is also thinking, can we just tell him the truth? If he's such a stand-up guy, what happens if we tell him the truth?
Is she proposing this to the group?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Well, while she's walking around still patrolling, she's just saying it quietly.
Does anyone want to respond to Athena's theoretical question?
Everything adds up this way.
I'll wait to see what Kara's typing.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Orchid says, well, he doesn't seem like total trash. It might be a good idea, but didn't Whiskey screw the pooch and tell Polford more than she needed to about, I assume when Orchid says her, she means Posey.
Well, maybe Pulford knows too much, but maybe... Oh, Mr. Director.
Powell.
Powell. Yeah, I knew it starts with a P, but I just kept it going to Pulford in my head. Maybe Powell will have his moral sense overcome his sense of loyalty to Pulford. Yes, because it is going to be... Yeah. You did this on purpose.
Orchid says, so maybe convince him to steer her out of this?
Yes. If we can garner his moral compass to follow along with our suggestion.
The thing is, I think we... Sorry.
Go ahead.
The thing is, I think we pretty much told him already the most sympathetic story we could deliver, and he still...
It was a lie, and he could see through it.
Still... I think he also just mostly resisted said no out of principle, and I kind of get that. So I would imagine he would still say no out of principle, or ask a very big chunk of our money from this job we're doing.
unless of course there's something else he cares about more
Yeah.
than money. Orchid says, well, I hope you don't expect me to appeal to that. I actually suggest a trade, whiskey for Posey.
More importantly, there are a couple issues with that. First of all, we were rather specifically told that basically spreading around this information that we've discovered would be bad for our long-term health. Maybe not fatal, but, if we can convince Powell to keep it to himself, but still dicey, because he might not.
Okay,
Secondly, we don't know whether our explanation of the story would actually appeal to him as of yet.
And not to mention, Pulford had, in part thanks to Whiskey, now has taken a minor interest in the go, so might be paying attention to what's going on with it.
But I mean, even if we could convince, for all we know, Powell has a grudge against AAAs and would love nothing more than to see something like this happen.
Orchid offers we could owe Powell one. Favors are big in this industry, right?
And also, Orchid, as for trading me for Posy Piper, first of all, sod you bloody wanker, I ain't that tradable good. Second of all, unless you can give me one, I don't have a penis, so that kind of puts me, well, out of his particular genre.
Orchid
Oh.
sighs, it was a joke.
Oh, well, it's hard to tell with you sometimes.
Orchid continues, I knew we would need valuable goods for a trade to be useful. Athena, I think there was something you were still saying at one point.
I was going to answer all the concerns that people had about her comment. Starting at the top, we don't need to tell him everything. We don't need to tell him anything completely accurate, and then we don't need to tell him things like,
Specific details.
Yeah, we don't need to tell him specific details. We don't need to tell him the truth even. And then 3 is that we control the flow of information that we give to him, so that should not be an issue.
Unless someone has verbal diarrhea again.
Yeah. Well, the second thing, Whiskey and Mike, I'll be doing the talking this time. That's specifically why I stayed back the first time, is just in case we needed to try again. A fresh start, for lack of a better phrase.
The character, assuming it happens tonight. Otherwise,
The plan is to finish this in the next 2 hours.
Okay, good. Sorry, just making sure. Now to
And
answer.
Orchid comments, that's pretty good foresight.
Thank you. I try. To answer your question, I don't expect it to appeal to you, but I expect the counterpoint that if it fails, I'm going to make him unable to attend the interview, so that we don't have to, so that we can expand our timeline and not have to worry about this happening within the next 2 hours.
Are you going
Orchid
to
says,
fuck-
I agree with this.
I don't need to kill him.
So,
I
What,
was
you gonna
not going
break a
to
leg
say
or two?
kill.
That's 3 people talking. I'm still not done talking in character, technically. So,
Go ahead, sorry.
we don't want to owe Powell one, because we don't want Powell to be able to get in contact with us. We're Shadowrunners, Orchid. And then the "it was a joke" was in response to someone else. Valuable goods was in response to something else. And now you guys are free to comment. Sorry.
I was to say, so if this doesn't go south, you're gonna what? Break his leg?
Doesn't even need to be that big. How long do you think she's showing up in 2 hours? All we need him to be is unconscious and not waking up when the 2 hour shows up to anything.
Are you going to shag him so hard that he will have
That
no
is
more energy
not-
left?
the direction I'm moving in.
Guessing blunt force trauma to the head, so he has a concussion.
That
Is
is
knocked out.
the direction I'm moving in.
And Orchid will say, oh, we could even get Whiskey to run interference, start a ruckus at her bar. She could be useful distracting her big boss.
No. I'm not causing too much trouble at the bar, at least today anymore. I'm already on hot call, as it were.
Okay. Whiskey, you can run interference by trying to make it up to him. I don't know what the phrase is, the good old-fashioned way.
By being the best bartender you can be while you're on the job.
Aye, that I can do.
That's this time that was not the direction I was moving in.
Goodness. Orchid will say, so saving all the trouble for us then, to Whiskey's comment earlier. Sybil and or Mike, have either of you wanted to comment on Athena's current explanation of the plan she has?
Sybil has no opinion, but I would like to also point out it is later. Do I get the results from?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
So Sybil is abstaining from involving herself in this. Mike?
I will admit, I'm not exactly a doctor, but I'm fairly certain that the level at which you'd have to hit him to keep him unconscious for 2 hours would be less towards the he wakes up with a headache and more towards the he doesn't wake up at all end, if I'm not mistaken. Out of character, how quickly does stun damage come back while you're resting, like he would be?
You roll body plus willpower to reduce the amount of stun damage at 1 per hour.
And if he reduces the stun damage by 1, he regains consciousness.
Correct.
By 1?
Because stun damage
Stun
doesn't overflow the same way. It goes into
Yeah.
physical.
Oh yeah, that goes into physical.
So if you really want him to be unconscious, you have to max out his physical track and then make sure that he doesn't go critical. By what's the word I'm looking for here? When you patch somebody up.
Stabilize.
Stabilize, thank you, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think just putting something in his drink would be a better way to knock him out for a long time, personally.
I'd have to get close enough. I'd have to get inside of his room. B, have the product. C, get him to talk to me long enough to need a drink. And then D, have him drink it.
And Orchid says, that sounds too much like what he's probably already used to.
What we understand about him, he's probably the only director in this industry that is not used to that specific act.
No. We did get a look at his aura. He does have drug use as something he does.
Sorry, I thought you meant drugging other people.
Oh, no. Okay. I thought what Orchid was implying is that he would have a tolerance to being drugged.
You might be right. I think I misinterpreted.
But to be fair point with your argument, if you are going to physically knock him out, you also need to get claws and everything. So that's pretty much the same challenge. Though, yes, getting him to drink might be tricky.
Well, I've been getting close enough to speak with him, but it takes me less than a second to make him unable to speak back. It'll take more than a second.
Could everyone roll a common sense or a tactics roll of some kind, either security or combat?
My common sense is higher than my security tactics.
Yes, but the threshold for security tactics is lower than the common sense roll. Oh dear, Whiskey.
Okay.
I was playing XCOM earlier, it predicted this.
Actually, no. Rapid response specially help?
Not in this instance.
I think.
Then it's gonna be common sense for me.
So Whiskey, the idea that comes to your mind in this. Fuck. But, well, you know what, Whiskey? Powell might be a stand-up guy, but you're Shadowrunners. Maybe you should just kill him. Meanwhile, Athena, the thought will dawn on you that, sure, we knock him out. He'll wake up probably within an hour, as long as you don't do any serious harm to him. But maybe you lock him in the closet or the bathroom, or you put him in a body bag and you
Yeah.
get him out of the building. Like there's plenty of other options to keep him indisposed for more than 1 hour.
I know. I
We
was
could
I
knock
figured
him
the
out in hog
bathroom,
time.
and then I was thinking he probably had the equipment in there to keep himself indisposed.
Yes, actually, that's an excellent point. His certain style of filmography means there would be equipment that you could also keep him disposed. You just want to make sure that somebody eventually shows up to rescue him.
Or, funny enough, get a big old block of ice, put the keys in it, and then he'll be free in a matter of time. There's ways to make it so that we have time. Now the question is, how do I do this without being labeled a criminal and have my face blasted across the internet? The Matrix.
Wear a disguise?
Well, the easiest thing, I actually have a what is it called? Invisibility suit. I have one.
Yes, but I thought you were planning to talk to him first.
Oh, I know. But I can wear this underneath my outfit. If it fails, I simply go leave, turn it on, and hope that he doesn't make baseless assumptions.
It won't be baseless, though.
I mean, asking him to not do something in a very civil manner. I can
And
do
then
both.
someone
I
comes
can-
back like 2 minutes later.
Oh, it doesn't need to be 2 minutes later. Hell, I can literally knock him out at 1:30, and then he's out for an hour. And then on top of that, he's tied up in the bathroom. So
The other thing, of course, is you're taking a sabbatical as a player, Twister. That might be the way to have Athena kind of disappear for a while.
that's true. She doesn't want to fail. That literally is one of the things, is that she has an aversion to failure, and it might be so great that she's just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not failing. Puts a hole in the guy's chest, because I think at this point we all know that Athena can punch a hole in a guy's chest very easily.
You broke an elevator with your fist.
Is my critical glitch infecting the rest of the party?
I just told you, Whiskey, at this point your idea is fuck it, let's kill him.
Yeah, and now Athena is saying the same, is punching a hole through his chest. So,
Yeah,
as I was asking, is it infecting the rest of the party?
Seems that it might.
I'm making a joke because, again, I don't want to make a mess, and then have other people have to deal with it. She's not going to kill him.
If you put a hole through his chest, that is a pretty big mess.
That is true. Fortunately, she has water magic, and so she can actually make it so her hand's not part of the mess. But anyways,
The arterial spray when you've also got the water, just like, what will the police think?
it's a really fucking strong water gun. What the hell are they giving these kids? So Athena is going to try the same route that Mike did. Go to a store, get a couple of bags, and then attempt to line up with the person who's going to hold open the door for her. But that can wait until we have a change of outfit for Athena. So, does any of our mages have the ability to physically...
Fashion?
Sure, but I don't know how that works on the person or just the outfit.
Fashion works on the outfit.
Okay.
And
Now,
I don't have the fashion spell.
Neither does Orchid.
Okay. Does either of you have something like illusion or some spell that will visibly modify my appearance beyond fashion?
Improved invisibility to make you invisible.
Well, if we want to just say fuck it completely to the idea of communication, and then we just walk in there and knock him out, we can do that. He misses the interview. We have a lot longer timeline. That won't finish the mission tonight, though.
Sadly.
Orchid will say, I mean, there's makeup.
Well, that is an option. Get contacts, get makeup. Hopefully, we can make it look different enough. And then I speak with an accent. The whole
Within
nine
the
yards.
time frame.
Yeah, we have an hour and a half.
Oh, you got a bit more time than that.
Oh, good.
How long would it take to find an availability 8 item? Or rather, what would the interval be on an availability 8 item?
Depends on the price.
500 new yen.
500 with availability 8. Let's take a quick look here. Of course, my chummer froze. Oh, there we go. Now it's going again. Which item specifically? Because that'll just make this easier.
Latex face mask. It's literally what it's made for.
Okay. Latex face mask disguise. It's available. Oh, it's not restricted or forbidden.
Apparently not, because
So
it's
then,
makeup.
you could purchase it legally. There'll just be a documentation of who bought it. If you do it illegally, that would be restricted. At which point, let's see what restricted for 500. That would be a 1-day interval.
So we could legally buy a disguise and just worry about properly discarding it later.
Or we have someone cast improved invisibility, walk in, take it, and it won't take us a day to find it.
It won't take us a day to find it if we just pay legally.
You're right. Do you
But
want to
then
be the
it's,
one?
it's stolen goods at that point.
Oh, I know. But there's also no paper trail.
Yes, but remember, this is Shadowrun, so there are microchips in everything.
Oh, that's true. I forgot that happens in not Moscow. All right. Who wants to be the one to buy it? Maybe we
Given that I have a
compensated.
tag eraser as well, I should probably go do it. Buy it, then once we're ready to use it, or, fry the tag. Or
That
after
works.
we have used it, either way.
That works for sure. All right.
So Mike will be purchasing that. I'll make a note. Where am I going to make that note? Mike buying latex face mask, then Tiger Racing.
And I have the tag eraser already.
Orchid will say yes. Let Mike do it. He's the sort to buy this kind of stuff. Oh, I see. Sorry, Orchid was earlier offering to do it herself. Okay. So yeah, that's going to chew up time for Mike. Was there anything else Mike wanted to do, or is he comfortable spending his time doing shopping?
Yeah, that's fine. I can handle this. Of course, I'll be taking my vehicle, unless you guys think I can get a cab this far over here. But then you guys couldn't drive the car. So yeah, I'll be taking my ride, so you guys will have to find some place to hide in the meantime, but...
Who wants to go to the bar with me?
Is that your solution for everything?
Well, Mike's gonna have to wake up Sybil because she's in VR in the back of his car. So, or
I'm
take her for
sure
a
he
ride.
could handle that, and or just wouldn't bother and let her stay in VR as he drives away. Either way.
Okay. So Okami, anything you want to do other than keeping Overwatch? Are you going to use any of your magic for anything?
Honestly, my magic is not much of help here. Sadly.
There is something you could be doing if you wanted to use a spirit task, favor. What are they called?
Services.
Service, yes.
Can you maybe ask your spirit to maybe go and look for Piper? I don't know.
So Desperado, I just received a message saying Desperado was caught cheating.
Yeah, I don't understand. I was trying to copy and paste the data on the latex face mask, but I don't know. I guess maybe some of the symbols, didn't cooperate. I don't know.
Yeah, some kind of formatting. And besides, when you do that, paste it into like TeamSpeak, I think might be the better option.
Okay.
Let me take a look at my spirits and all the things they do. It's going to take a bit. Sorry.
I'll just say it for you, Bob. The search power.
That would be on. I think it'd be on my.
Page 301 has the spirits listed on it. So let's take a quick look. What spirit has, oh no, sorry, 302, not 301. So the spirit of air has search.
Trying to see if that's my detection spirit or not.
Spirit of beasts has search as an optional power. The spirit of earth has it as a power. The spirit of fire has it as an optional power. The spirit of man has it as a power. The spirit of water has it as a power. There are plenty of spirits who have search.
Yeah, but it's a matter of my detection spirit or not, so that's why I'm double checking on pay.
Which type is your detection spirit?
That's what I'm checking right now.
Just look at your character sheet. Whatever.
I'm looking at spells and spirits. It does not say for Shinto. It just gives me when I look at.
So click on the spirits to get the drop-down menu, and then just count, like, so you know how the spirits, the spells have different categories? The spirits are in the same order.
Okay.
So combat detection. So the second one is detection. Whatever your second spirit type is your detection spirit.
Which is water.
Water, which I believe has search as a default power.
Let me check Kaio.
It's a default power. There's no way to not have search. God, if I just looked at your token, it even says Kaio, Spirit of Water Detection. God damn it.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Even then,
So-
even if you don't want to use up a service from Kaio, as long as you don't have any other unbound spirit currently, you can summon an unbound spirit.
Honestly, I don't. Kaio still's got plenty of services according to my character sheet, so I can just freely use that. I have not, honestly, of all of them, Kaio is the one I've least used so far. So yeah, I'm willing to use the service.
All right, so you know what Parker Posey looks like. Do you want to go ahead and use a service from Kaio to try and track her down?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. So the roll you make is the magic, I believe, plus intuition. I'm just double checking that here.
For Kaio, I believe.
Magic plus intuition, threshold of 5. However, the threshold can be modified based on how far away the person is from your current location. So taking a look at the London map, I will use the measuring tool. 1 hex equals 100 meters, so... yeah, okay, that'll be all right. I'm not going to tell you specifically, but yeah, no, okay. I know how many hits you're going to need, and you can go ahead and make a roll. And in fact, you can go ahead and make 3 rolls right out of the gate. So magic plus intuition 3 times.
Magic plus intuition, which would be 10, 4 for Kaio. Okay. Matches is getting a little laggy.
So in a half hour, you haven't found her yet.
But London is a big city.
Technically, though, that's something you have Kaio doing. Do you do anything else during this time? And Orchid, bearing in the mind that yes, Orchid would have provided information to narrow it down, that would apply to the physical, not to the astral. The information Orchid is piecing together would let us know how to find her in ways that don't translate for the spirit to utilize. But yes, Okami.
No. At the moment, I'm thinking, because the problem is if I go searching magically, not in the physical body to hear communications if I need to, so I'd rather just do what I've been doing.
Okay. So Kami's basically taking a relaxing approach to this mission. Whiskey, I believe, is patrolling again. Unless... Whiskey, were you doing anything else?
No. Whiskey might utter the following idea to Okami and Orchid. This might be an idea. If you like, can you make your little spirits or ghosts or whatever look like things?
Technically yes, but none of my spirits or myself have the spells or the abilities to do that, to my knowledge.
Oh, well, that's a shame, because I had this idea. If we found out what the dead father of Piper looks like, then maybe we could have one of those spirits manifest, kind of looking like the dead father, and go, "Oh, Igwe, or whatever your name is, this is your father, do not do porn." And then she might stop doing this.
Gonna roll for kosher.
Orca says, okay, so I'm going to take that as a yes to the question of have you been day drinking? So,
First thing I do in the morning.
Athena, what was your composure for?
To not negatively react to that. That's literally the threshold I set. It's 3. We're
Okay.
good to go.
Okay. Just holding it together. So Okami, Orchid, I believe you'll both shoot down Whiskey's idea.
The concept, not shoot down, but the actual plan, yes.
Okay. Sorry, Whiskey. They don't have the necessary magical spells to make something like that effective.
Oh, shame. We could have made it all like Hamlet and stuff.
Yes, because Shakespeare's plays always turned out well.
I honestly don't recall a single play from Shakespeare that ever had a happy ending.
Well, check out some of the comedies. Orchid will say, I think we have better ways to use our time than to traumatize a kid, or worse, clue her into our influence. Okay, and so I believe Sybil has one outstanding question left. So, Sybil, you will have your a roll from your sprite, please, just to see if it gets the full threshold that it needs. You had 9 hits earlier. I just want to see if you get anything further. Sybil? Is Hunter AFK?
He is, yes. BRB.
All right. Does someone want to just roll on his behalf, like Desperado?
Sure,
I
what's
can roll.
the dice pool?
18. Do you want to impersonate the Sybil token?
Sure, why not?
Ooh, Mike is going inside Sybil.
He's already been there.
Like once a day at least?
But for the purposes of rolling, you now have ownership of the token. On the title page, out of Nest.
All right, and what are we rolling here? What would be
18
the
SR4 for the sprite. Okay, so how long do you think we should give Hunter before I just say what Sibyl's sprite has located, or should I just say it now and you guys can let Hunter know when he gets back?
Well, there's always also the option. How long has our recording been running now?
Yeah, I was going to pause the recording as soon as I just finished with Sybil and Orchid. So I guess we'll do Orchid, and then when we come back from break, if Hunter's here, we'll reveal Sybil. If Hunter's not here, we'll still reveal Sybil's realization.
Yep.
So Orchid, you will have basically triangulated down fairly well to a number, like I'd say 4 locations in Whitechapel, which are most likely this Posey's friend's place. And theoretically, just with a little more time, you could get something even more precise, but you're running out of time and Posey will be on her way soon. So really, all 4 of those locations, rationally speaking, someone's going to take the same route to go from those places to the interview location. So you've got a pretty solid idea of which direction to expect Posey to be coming from, whether it'll be public transit, taxi, or walking. She's basically, in all 3 cases, going to be coming from west to east along the same road. So Orchid will say, found like 4 likely locations for where she is bumming it with her friend. She'll probably be leaving there soon. Why did we need this again? But yeah, I can set up an intercept of where to watch for her. I mean, here are the details and all the probable routes. What did we have to do? Meeting is soon. Best hit the interviewer soon. Does anyone have any response to Orchid?
I believe some people want to try and talk to her. I'm not sure it's a good idea, but we
I'd like to
now have
try,
that option.
But yeah, I've been advised not to, so I'll just go where directed, I guess.
Sorry, you'll go away and what?
Go where directed. So, you point, I punch.
Punch with a shotgun. Orchid will say, well, you were what, 0 for 2 so far? I mean, I would love to watch you strike out, but not when my neck is on the line. Orchid really has it in for whiskey. And on that note, we're going to pause the recording, take a break, and... Sybil, you will have uncovered the comlink ID for Posey Piper. There we go. And using, Sybil and Orchid working together, we'll be able to basically pinpoint where she is. Roughly, give me another Kaio Spirit Water Detection Search roll, Abobob. You need literally one hit. So if you don't get one hit, I'll be impressed in a bad way.
Well, so technically speaking, due to the laws of probability, I could just roll all ones.
But the likelihood of that is infinitesimal. But great. So
Did you call upon me to make a roll with all ones?
So
No, I
you know
call
what,
upon Fall.
Twister, go ahead, roll 10 SR4 and see what happens.
I got 2 ones. That's average, above average.
No, that's good. That's a good roll, and you wasted it. Sorry.
Yep, I did.
So yeah, basically all around the same time, if Orchid and Sybil are willing to work together with the information they have uncovered. If they're unwilling to work together, then Kaio the Spirit will locate Posey before the two of them do.
I believe Sybil will work together.
Okay, so right now Posey is currently in a cafe, and it seems to be in the Whitechapel area. It definitely is in the Whitechapel area, and she's basically just killing time, it seems, before heading to the interview, theoretically.
And we will definitely relay that information.
You technically still have one task left on the sprite that you compiled. Is there anything else you want it to do, or are you going to release it back into the resonance?
Is it possible for me to have it block a number temporarily from contacting Posey's phone?
It was a data sprite, I believe.
Courier.
Courier? Let's take a look here. You sure it was a courier? Because I thought you used data because data has browse.
Then it might have been. It's just I didn't put it on my sheet since it's a temporary spray. It's not a registered one.
Right, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was data because they have browse and data search, which are the things you wanted. And so
And I remember the
stenography and watermark.
And I don't think I took either of those.
No,
And
they're by default they have those.
Is it possible for it to use stenography to hide its texts?
Basically, you have to know which piece of data you are concealing, and once it uses the ability, then its tasks are gone, and it won't be able to hide any further text messages or such that come in afterward. So literally, it will hide one thing and then it's done.
Okay. I also know that one of the secondary powers that it ended up with was Stiffer and for the optional power since it's a rating 6.
I think you mean complex form, but yes.
Yeah, I'll just ask you to try and block the number or reroute it to a different number.
It doesn't have spoof, so that's not something it's capable of doing very easily. Besides, who are you trying to block and why?
I'm trying to block the comm link of Howell.
Can I point out, I actually really like this idea.
So there, he can't send her any messages.
Actually,
Based-
not that bad of an idea.
Based on what I'm reading here, though, the data sprite isn't the appropriate sprite to do that. A crack sprite with spoof would potentially be useful for that, since it has exploit already.
I have a crack sprite, but it has no services.
Well, hey, if you get rid of the data sprite, you can compile a new sprite.
I think I should do that. And it will be a crack sprite.
And which rating are you going to do for that one?
Rating 6. So I'll be taking physical if this fails.
Is your resonance 5 or 6?
5.
Oh, okay.
I can upgrade it to 6 with because I submerged. Well, technically I can upgrade it to 7 because I submerged, but it's at 5 right now. So compiling is 8 SR4.
Extra goddamn. You still take a minimum of 2 physical that you have to resist, though. It always, unless it critically glitches, there's always a minimum of 2 points.
I take nothing.
Well done. You've got yourself a crack. What 2 complex forms do you want to add? I imagine spoof is one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what are the other options for a crack sprite?
Decrypt, diffuse, edit, scan.
Edit.
It also has the unique ability Suppression. The sprite has the innate ability to confuse firewalls that could potentially detect the sprite's illegitimate activities. Anytime the sprite triggers an alert, the alert is delayed for rating divided by 2 round up combat turns. So effectively, it gets 3 extra turns before it actually triggers an alert.
Let's see. If Powell's comlink tries to send her a text message, the track sprite will intercept it, edit it to say that it was rescheduled, and then continue to forward it, spoofing itself as Powell's comlink.
Okay, so if any text messages come through, it is to say they're rescheduling the appointment.
Yes.
Right. Right, so, ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Athena, you were going to try and get into the apartment building, right?
After I got the new face.
Okay, so you're holding off on doing anything for now. Sybil, you were the one who was paying attention to what's his nuts comlink.
Yep.
Mike, you were going shopping. Whiskey, what were you up to, Whiskey?
Nothing really. Well, possibly now that they have the location of her, she kind of asks the rest of the group if she should try and go meet her there at that cafe.
I think it would be better to send someone who can be a bit more of an approachable person.
Whiskey is probably the most approachable after Mike and Athena. She does have pretty decent etiquette, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, you could send Whiskey to go keep an eye on Posey. You know, be a bodyguard, as it were.
That would be a good thing, at least keep an eye out.
As I recall, Orchid is still at home doing all of her hacking from the comfort of her,
Okami's home.
oh, sorry, Okami's.
It will be amusing to find out what has happened to Okami's house in the meantime.
As long as she hasn't eaten Ireniel's cat, I think we're fine.
Aurelio's probably home.
Yeah, you probably woke up first thing this morning to see a strange Japanese woman sitting on your couch. Well, our couch.
In any event, we can hash that out later. In the meantime, are any particular activities, excuse me, taking place? Oh, excuse me, goodness, I'm choking.
Need a drink of water?
Yes, but not right now. Well, if everyone's just sort of lazing about, we can...
Well, I guess with the advice, then yeah, Whiskey will head off to that cafe where they have located her to indeed at least keep an eye on her.
Bearing in mind that Whitechapel is one of those neighborhoods where you do need to broadcast your SIN.
Well, that's fine.
I better hope you don't have any outstanding warrants for your arrest.
Oh, wait.
What are we waiting for?
The I do believe under her real name she does have quite a few warrants.
Not
Yes,
that
but
she's
what-
aware of yet.
Why would she, in any event, she would be theoretically careful enough not to be broadcasting an ID that's going to get her arrested. I was mainly making a joke. In any event, Whiskey, you would arrive at the cafe. What do you do once you get there?
Well, she will head in, order something to drink, probably lightly alcoholic. So a beer or something.
This is a cafe.
And they don't have beers there?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of most cafes is coffee is what they serve.
They might have a wine list, but that's about the most alcoholic you're gonna get.
Wine? Really?
All right, in the Netherlands, the cafe is just the same as bar, basically. So.
Oh, no, I'm thinking, like, again, I don't really know the UK as well, but here in Canada and when I visited Italy, cafe speaks specifically to a location where you get coffee or tea.
All right, well, then she'll order an espresso.
Perk herself right up. Then again, it's
How
probably
many
human.
shots would you need there for a troll?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's probably human-sized espresso.
So yeah, she will look a bit disappointed at that, shake her head, and just go find a booth somewhere there to drink it, and hopefully take a booth that is somewhere near to hopefully finding a Piper posse.
Well, you're supposed to roll for that.
And what am I supposed to roll for that? Perception?
Visual perception. You could be active if you want. Yep, you will be able to spot her. She's basically just off in one of the corner booths herself. Even though it has enough seating for like 6 people, she's basically dominated the spot all for herself. And she has some kind of iced coffee drink that she is enjoying. Although I suppose it would be a soy calf drink of some sort. Oh no, wait, she gets a pretty big stipend from her mom. It'll be real coffee. She'll be drinking a real iced coffee. Not that you can tell from a distance. She's just sort of flipping through. Whoa, Carol, what in the world did you just like? All I got was like code. RIFF quote 8 web PVP 8. Like, oh yeah, I'll copy a sample of what this file opened as for me. That's what the file looks like when I open it.
Mine didn't even get to that. It just says not a good file.
Mine actually did open, but of course I copy and pasted it, so maybe that's why. Anyway, my link is the same image.
All right, bizarre.
Yeah, Whiskey would kind of send a message like, eyes on the target. And text only. She would not be muttering eyes on the target in the cafe.
Right, of course. And Posey just seems to be flipping through AR kind of lazily with her one hand while sipping her drink with the other. So I don't take it anyone... Oh, wait, Kara's typing something. We'll see what that is. She says, anyone else nervous that aren't close enough to salvage this if something goes wrong? I mean, I enjoy it here where I am, but now I'm feeling nervous.
I actually have confidence in Whiskey's ability to keep someone safe. And at some point, I'm going to show up with Athena's makeup.
Whiskey, roll a judge intention for me, please. At one point, Posey looks at you, but doesn't really stare at you or anything. Then again, you're used to people looking at you. You're a Famari with bright orange hair, or, kind of you stand out. You are very distinctive. So the fact that she looked at you isn't all that surprising. Plenty of other people in this place have looked at you with far more interest than she did.
Yeah, I even have said as a trait, distinctive style.
Okay. Well, if no one else is declaring any other activities, then Mike, are you only buying the latex mask, or is there something else you're purchasing as well?
I had only intended to buy the latex mask. That should be enough. I mean, you program it with any old comlink, and we've got people who can code here. So buy it and get back.
Okay.
Just give me the word if you want me to, get closer to her.
No one wants Whiskey to get closer?
Just keep eye. Just don't interact. Just keep eye.
Roger, Roger.
Due to the fact that we don't know if someone's being told to look out specifically for you.
All right, so Mike, you've bought yourself the latex kit. You were with Athena, or did Athena wait?
Athena was still doing patrol. Doing
Okay.
watch.
All right, so did you want to give yourself another roll then, Athena? Also a commie. Go ahead and roll for your self-sensing and your two, what's-its? Watchers.
Watches. One. Two. Forgot to. IO.
Okay, so spirits in the astral, nothing really out of the ordinary. It's all very ho-hum, common, blah, blah, blah. Athena, you happen to look up just at the right moment to witness Powell walking out onto his balcony. You can just barely see him, but he just kind of hangs lightly over the edge of his balcony, just staring out into the street down below, when all of a sudden he looks to perk up for a second, and it doesn't take long for you to figure out what's caused him to have that reaction. His comlink was ringing, and so he puts it to his ear and starts to have a conversation. Sybil, you were monitoring his comlink, but you're going to have to do a fresh trace roll to determine who it is that he's talking to.
Okay, that would be. It's still active, so that's a.
Well,
really
if it
good
was
trace.
still active, then your sprite rolls should have been at -2.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and re-roll that. Resisting the one. Going for more. I'll keep all three, so 3. Oh. Rating 4. Grace. 14. 6 hits.
Okay, so you will basically break into the phone conversation that's going on. Powell is talking to Pulford. And you missed the beginning of the conversation because you were threading at the time, but you get in enough time to hear Powell basically saying, sorry, could you repeat that? And Pulford, in a kind of grumpy voice, says, the girl who's showing up today, the guy, like whatever, the one that you've got somebody, a blonde one. And Powell's like, yeah, no, actually, I want to talk to you about that. And Pulford's like, no, be quiet. I want you to do your usual routine, but I told you to share it with whiskey. And he's like, yeah, no, about that. And Pulford's like, no. So instead, I want you to basically save it for later, right? And when you sign this one on, use a different name, like a totally new alias. And Powell's like, wait, what's going on? And Pulford's like, I just explained it to you. I want you to do your usual routine, but save the recordings. And when you sign the contract, make up a new alias. That's not very hard, is it? And Powell's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Pulford, but does this have something to do with that red-headed troll of yours? And Pulford's like, yeah, what about whiskey? And Powell's like, she was here today talking about not... And Pulford interrupts Powell and says, ignore that, all right? I get it. She doesn't want this to happen. Ignore that. I'm giving you instructions here, all right? You'll do what I tell you to do. You got that? There's a long pause, and eventually Powell says, yeah, I think I understand. And Pulford's like, good, don't screw this up. Powell says, all right, well, I haven't even guaranteed that necessarily Piper's going to, and Pulford interrupts again. It's like, I don't care, make this work. I think I've got a pretty good deal in the works here, Powell, so don't screw it up for me. Again, there's a long pause, and eventually Powell says, I understand, Mr. Pulford. Have a good day, Mr. Pulford. And Pulford replies with, right, and hangs up. And it's a little hard for you to see from all the way down here. Do you have magnification of any kind, Athena?
Yes.
Great, okay, so roll a judge intention with no penalty.
I'm going to edge this, and I believe that's my second edge spent.
Okay. Yeah, 5 hits on 15 dice isn't the best thing ever. But
Especially exploding dice.
sorry?
Especially exploding dice. So that 15 is actually a 19.
Theoretically. Excuse me.
I mean, literally.
But Powell, the look on Powell's face is definitely disappointment and anger. And perhaps just the slightest hint of, what's it called? well, contempt. There's contempt, but also defiance. There's a slight hint on his face of defiance as he just kind of stares at his phone in his hand for a moment, and then he grips it really tight, takes a deep breath, turns around, and goes back into his apartment.
And any chance that Okami was able to actually see any of that from the astral?
Not with her rolls.
Okay.
Oh, and Sybil did relay the information that she heard during the conversation.
So the whole team would have
the group.
received the audio.
Yep.
So Athena, do you want to share any insight with the team, or from what you witnessed, you're just going to keep quiet about that?
Did I know that the voice was? I didn't have the phone conversation. Half of this.
Sybil has shared it.
Oh, he did.
She.
Sorry, she did. That's right. I meant, yeah. Yeah, I'd share my part. More or less, this confirms that my opinion that we should give him information that he potentially can destroy her life, and really put her in harm's way, is the right decision.
Orca will say, yeah, that's what I feared. I knew Pulford would throw fucking monkey wrenches into our monked-up monkey plan.
To be fair, this is less intricate and a lot more simple than I expected of him.
Which is what? I don't actually quite understand what the goal here is.
Sorry, what Pulford is doing, or what Whiskey thought Pulford would do?
What Pulford is trying to do here. I mean, his instructions are pretty obvious, but I don't see what the end game there is.
Pulford's saying he wants Posey to become another movie star, but he's specifically telling Powell, sign her under a different name.
Yes, I'm not sure why he's doing that, but that may be perfectly in character as well.
Basically, I think he just thinks that, if it's under a different name, they won't find her, which is obviously it doesn't really realize that he might be messing with people who can see through those type of, rather simple deceptions.
Orchid says that doesn't make it easier. Now he's definitely trying to make sure he has her in his net. We absolutely can't let her be a part of this group. I really don't want to have to come down there and talk to him myself.
You want to talk with Pulford? Whiskey asks Orchid.
What's Mike typing? Oh, Mike's Desperado, not Mike, his recommended Orchid, actually talks to Pulford. But yeah, Athena, I think for your benefit, especially Twister, we should move ahead with your plan as Athena just to get that done, and therefore, have the opportunity, if this proceeds into another session, that Athena at least gets her thing done.
All right. So at some point, I'll come back with the mask. Who wants to make the roll for it? Computer
Remember,
plus
it's
edit.
limited based on disguise. But Twister, just wanted to hear your confirmation there.
Disguise is rating 2. Oh, sorry, it's 2. 0 ratings in it.
Yeah, this is based on the rating.
Oh, what's
So
the rating of the item?
What? No. The disguise skill rating. Does anyone in this group have the disguise skill?
Mike does. So Mike will probably be the one to make the roll. He has a skill rating 3, so if he rolls reasonably well on his edit roll, it will be a +3 for you.
Yeah. By the way, Orchid replying to Whiskey saying, want to? No. But I think I may be more, how should I say, eloquent in communicating our threats to him.
If we're going to be threatening him, then I should probably be there to be able to immediately back up the threats.
Yeah, and I don't know you. I don't know you in that case.
You've
Yeah.
already worked with Orchid in the last job. Orchid came into a meeting with Pulford with you.
Yeah. Her face is known.
Ah, bollocks.
Yeah, you two went to meet Pulford together.
That's the other thing.
Yeah. So, Mike, go ahead and roll your edit skill. Or, sorry, your computer skill with your edit software with a limit of 3 hits.
Well, it's 2 hits then. Unless Athena wants to try and talk me into edging that for 1 more hit.
Oof. I mean, honestly, I forgot that my disguise is literally, I'm rolling 2 dice. So this is going to put it to 4 dice, I believe?
Yep.
Oh, someone else can disguise you. So, Mike can be the one to put the mask on you.
Also, by the way, I think Pulford has met... I don't think Pulford has met Orchid. Beckett
Yes, he
has
did.
met Orchid.
No, you
I think Whiskey was the only one who actually met with Pulford during...
I'm pretty sure we can talk about that later, but I'd say 90% certain that Orchid and Pirate came in with Whiskey for one of the meetings with Pulford directly.
Anyway,
But yeah, so Mike with a +2 on your disguise roll if Athena allows you to poke and prod her face.
Yeah. I mean, she was willing to have a slightly worse thing happen if we wanted, if she had to do a conversation. But that never happened, fortunately. So this makes it a lot easier for her. So yeah, we can. She'll take the mask at +2.
holy.
So 14 SR4E got 3 hits. No comment
Well,
on that.
he'll at least have a little more trouble picking you out of a police lineup.
Yeah, that's 7 dice total. This'll be interesting. Because he's got cameras in there that probably makes it easier to distinguish who I am. Let's do it. Let's do it. Fuck it.
All right, so you go into the store, you're buying some generic groceries, waiting nearby the door. So go ahead and give me a etiquette roll, Athena, to see if you'll be polite enough to trigger someone else's politeness.
I think so.
Well, Athena being the pretty lady that she is, there will be some people that are very eager to open the door for her, that are practically tripping over one another to get to the door first. But I'm sure she'll just politely say thank you, wish them a pleasant day, and be on their merry way. And Athena will be able to get on the elevator, go up to the appropriate floor, and then...
Probably go up the stairs, and then drop off
Oh, not the elevator?
the things, and then get in the elevator on a different floor.
Okay.
So that's a thing. So with that, she's gonna walk up right to the door and knock.
All right. It'll be like a few seconds, 10, 15 seconds, before you hear a voice come from the other side of the door. It's Powell's voice. He says, yes, can I help you?
Sorry, Mr. Powell. I'll be
needing just a moment of your time for a conversation, please.
Go ahead and roll an etiquette.
Okay. Can I take part of the 7? Oh, I can't! I can take the entire thing!
He says, right, is this a moment of time that you need face to face, or can we have this conversation as we're having it right now?
I would slightly prefer it face to face. It feels a lot more personable this way. But if you're quite busy and can only talk through the door, I understand. That being said, I am standing in a hallway in an apartment complex. I don't know if your neighbors quite feel the same way about me standing out here. I don't know entirely what perception was for.
He's gonna say, just a sec, and you hear the jingling of a chain, and he'll open the door just enough that there's still the chain holding the door locked, but it's open wide enough that he can get a better look at you. And he looks straight at Athena's face. Athena, go ahead and roll judge intention.
Oh, he's gonna be tired of me already. I know. He already knows. He's gathered why I'm here.
He's looking at your face and like the edges of your face, and he's
Hey, wait,
scrutinizing the.
I got 7 hits.
Yeah.
Not on my disguise roll, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, my disguise is just shit.
Yeah.
So,
I'll just-
Athena, you can tell why he's looking at you the way he's looking at you. Are you going to steal his thunder, or are you going to let him bring it up?
Could I actually retcon and have like a common sense roll? If it's that obvious?
What, the disguise?
Yeah.
Looking in the mirror, it didn't seem that obvious to you. It's like this could pull this could work. You know?
I mean-
he's really perceptive.
It's more the fact that I didn't stand a chance.
You did stand a chance.
I knew as a fact this guy is very perceptive. I even brought it up in voice, but
Okay, well, why don't you go ahead and roll your own perception to see if you like looked at yourself in the mirror, then just looked at Mike and pulled off your fake face.
active and visual because I'm standing in front of a mirror and doing it.
If you'd like. So yeah,
I
you
still
would
beat
have.
it.
Yeah, you would have been like, "This is obviously latex, dude." Would you have still risked it? Would you have gone for wearing the mask?
No.
I mean, it still hides your identity. It's just obvious you're wearing a mask.
Yeah. No, it'll. The first impression is actually very important. It sets a precedent for the rest of the conversation, and Athena knows that.
So is Athena gonna pay Mike his 500 new yen for the mask?
Yeah.
So Mike,
Still getting
thank
paid
you for
back.
the effort, but it doesn't look like Athena's
Sorry,
gonna
buddy.
be using it.
And the edge.
It was worth a shot.
Yeah, it was. I was hoping
And I
it would
did,
work.
in fact, give it the best shot I had. If only we had somebody who is better at this.
Yeah. I think Smoke could have done a really good job, but I don't know off the top of my head his dice rolls for it. So, anyways,
Right. So, retconning a bit then, Powell will look at you and, his perception and judge intention will be instead to determine, are you carrying any weapons or wearing any armor?
just the suit.
Okay.
Technically, the suit can be considered armor.
But it's not like
It is not like
a chest plate or anything like that. Yeah.
Correct.
All right. And you're not carrying any obvious weapons.
I'm not carrying any.
Right. All right. And he looks at you
So do
and
I.
he says, all right. Today's been a really fucked up day, so before I open this door and let you in, how about you just tell me straight up what it is that you hear about?
Well, unfortunately, I think you might have gathered a little bit of why I'm already here, but it's more that I'm going to tell you the truth because for some reason my employees didn't quite send the right message when they asked for an understanding to be met. Where is the deception roll?
Well, con?
Yeah,
What part of that was the lie other than employee?
that part. Oh, I can win with that?
Athena's got
That's-
enough of an ego, I think, that she views them as her employees at times.
Yeah. She did just pay a guy to do her makeup, and then it was like, this was shit. I'm still gonna pay you anyways, though, because you're in a position of power, and you're supposed to look down with a smile. So go on.
Right. So he'll look at her and says, okay. And just be honest with me. Are you gonna fucking kill me?
No! No! That is never. I've not wanted you dead in the same way that I've not wanted her to get hurt at all. And that's why I'm here. Because I'm afraid that she's going to take this job, which is going to be a massive mistake, and it's going to hurt her in the future. And I don't know how immediate the future is that I'm referencing.
Right. All right, come in, but I swear, if you keep mincing words, I'm kicking you out.
She's going to give a genuine smile because it's working, and then come in.
Well, he'll close the door, unlatch
Yeah.
the chain,
Yeah.
and then
Sorry.
open the door again. And you get a look at his, his foyer living room space. And he'll point to the sofa as a place for you to take a seat, and he'll go sit in one of the chairs next to the sofa.
Okay. So she's going to sit down and... Do you want me to leave my boots at the door? I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm...
It's
Walk
fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to offer you anything to drink because, like I said, today's been a really odd day for me. And not meaning any offense to you here, but I am feeling a little off-put. So I just like to keep my eyes on you. You understand?
I do.
Right. So you said her and she. How about you go ahead and use a name?
Well, I believe you know her as Posse or Piper?
Posey Piper?
Posey, out of character. In character, she would have known it.
Okay.
I've gotten it wrong every single time I said it. I'm sorry.
He kind of irritatingly scratches his eyebrow and like closes his eyes, takes a breath, and then zens out a bit. He's like, "Yeah, no, I'm kind of getting the impression that she's a very special young woman for reasons I didn't anticipate."
Yes. I don't know what they've told you or what someone has tried to gather.
Okay, just let me stop you there. What did I tell you about mincing words? Last warning.
I don't know what you know about her, but she's in a position of her family is in a position of great power within a company I will not name for reasons you could probably guess. If she partakes in this job or in any job, there is a potential to danger for everyone involved, for a company that does not want to lose any face. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I get it. You're essentially threatening me with
No. I'm trying to warn you.
Right.
exact
Okay.
opposite.
Let me rephrase. You are informing me of a potential threat. Does that work better for you?
I don't want to work against you, sir. All I want is for Piper to not be put in a situation where she's. Oop, shit. Just a sec. Alright, I'm good. All I want is for Piper to not be put in a situation where an issue can arise. It's not that I don't want her to be happy, and I understand that you personally are very good at your job, and it would be, if anyone was to do it, it'd be you. I know your reputation as a good man. But you understand where I'm coming from, because I understand where you're coming from. This is a business after all.
Right. Oh, you're friends with the whiskey woman, I'm gonna guess, huh?
She was one of the women that I hired, yes.
Now, that's a con roll.
Yep, I'm going to edge this one. That is 3 edge used, 2 edge remaining.
I'll give that one to you because 7 seems to be your lucky number
It
tonight.
is 3 in a row. That's not in a row.
And he's like, all right, look, I know who Whiskey works for is the same person I work for. Do you know who Pulford is? And the look on his face, like you don't even have to roll judge intention. You can tell there's a bit of fear. He's masking it well, but it's still there.
That's Powell. Where's Pulford's picture? Pulford's on the left side? Okay, sorry.
He's not inside the giant.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sorry. That was out of game context, anyways. She'd give an awkward, tense, tight smile. Like, I know of large parts of his business. I know of his competition. I know of, to an extent, his ability to get jobs done.
His reputation.
His reputation, thank you. I'm aware that he wants Piper because he believes she would be a good bargaining chip for him, but I don't believe he understands the scale, and I'm not able to tell him the scale, and I don't believe he has the moral compass to not use Piper in a way that would hurt her and a lot of people. That's why I've come to you, because I'm hoping, so Athena's starting to get nervous because I'm running out of words, and that means she is too.
Go ahead and roll etiquette.
Is this a big etiquette roll, or is this a small etiquette to make us you help along the way?
I'm not warning you. You have to make that decision on your own.
Oh, I hate it.
I do have to say it's funny how everyone's afraid of Pulford, but in reality we have no idea what he's capable of.
Yeah. I mean, we know he owns a lot. He's a slumlord, which means that he has people who would enforce that. Now the question is...
You do have an idea of what he's capable of. You just don't know how far he'll go yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I know if I sit down in front of him and put a fist through his chest, it won't go through his chest. But that's beside the note.
Yeah,
So
let's stay focused on.
Yes.
Yeah.
What did I get with the 6?
The 6. Powell's shoulders relax and he sighs again. He breaks eye contact for a moment. He just sort of looks off in the middle distance before taking another breath, looking you square in the eyes, saying, Powell's the kind of man who will kill people who betray him. And at this point, I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, as it were. You're telling me that the corporation, which Piper's family is a part of, will not take it too kindly if she winds up involved in this profession, I'm guessing, right? And I can tell you, Pulford's made it abundantly clear to me that he sees her as a bargaining chip. Now, at the moment, I know Pulford will kill me. I know what kind of man he is. What kind of corporation is it that Piper's associated with?
Athena scratches her nose with 2, and for a moment a 3rd finger, and then stops. She doesn't say anything. She just continues to look him in the eye.
I think he needs to make a judge intention roll for that.
Yep.
Oh, he picks that up. He'll give you a slow nod. And
It's a little bit of a larger company, sir.
I don't. Can someone explain the
AAA.
gesture to me?
2 and then 3 fingers.
I still don't get it.
So in Shadowrun, the AA corporations are big and powerful. The AAA corporations are the Big 10 corporations that run everything.
Yeah, but how would you get that from scratching your nose?
Because this guy has
3 fingers.
kinesics.
Okay.
He,
Fine, just
he
go
has
past
the
me.
he has the adept power to read body language.
Yeah. So he's been reading the fact that she's been very nervous, which I've been pointing out in voice chat. So, I really figured that he would, at a certain point. So I was like, I'm just gonna guess that he has it at this point, which is why I tried it.
Right. Okay. Fuck me sideways. What do you propose?
Well, it was slightly out of my expectation to hear that he would kill you for her not showing up. Do you think that he would change his mind with the knowledge that she is potentially out of the same ballpark that he expects her to be? Or do you think that would make her a more appetizing individual to him?
His face kind of contorts a bit with uncertainty, and he admits
She's gonna put up a
that-
hand before he can speak. It's like, that's unfortunately enough of an answer for me. So, the easiest thing would be for us, well, the easiest thing would be for us to go to him.
His eyes go wide at that, like, what the fuck are you going to say?
But the we
By the way, is this conversation transmitted to the rest of us?
No.
Okay.
No, she's closed off everything because she does not want him to pick up anything. The guy's pretty perceptive. He's also in a studio. So, I'm guessing, or Athena's guessing, that he probably will be able to pick up anything going out and will have an opinion on it. First impressions are everything. She's not risking it.
Okie doke, no reaction from Whiskey then.
So the easiest option is for us to go to him, but it would be a bigger mess than any of us would like to think about having to clean up after. The second option is you continue with the interview, and then we assist you so that you don't need to worry about Pulford at any point in a very happy life.
So, when you say I don't need to worry about Pulford, are you saying we take me away from Paulford, or we remove Paulford from the picture altogether?
Well, that was the easiest option, but I don't believe. I don't. Which one would you prefer? Because
There's a lot of people that I don't want to let them down, but I think they're in a good enough place that if I can have just enough time to get a couple messages out, I think they can get to safety in a relatively fair span of time. I mean,
how much time would you say that you need?
I could have it done by today as long as everybody picks up their phones.
So, the easiest step would be to tell her to postpone the meeting. Tell him it was her idea. When you've finished, have your meeting. Let her off in a way that lets her know that she should not be trying to be hired by another individual. And then we will do our best, and I do mean our best, to make sure you are cared for in a good way. She says cared for, and then immediately reacts to let him know, like, in a way that he'd be able to read without an issue, that she doesn't mean in a bad way.
Right, I get it. Okay, and what about the whiskey check?
Well, she's, my understanding, in a position to handle herself, and in a position where she has friends that can help her handle herself. But if necessary, and it sounds a little bit necessary,
Twister?
no, we can help her too.
Yeah, I mean, she and I didn't exactly get off on the right foot this morning, but I mean,
I understand that, and I don't know what the correct phrase is. I recall hearing about it.
it's just like I said, I know the kind of man Pulford is, and it just I don't have the full picture here, but I'm kind of getting the impression that Whiskey and her friend, who I don't even know if he gave me his name, that they'll
Mike.
be up Shit's Creek with Pulford if this gets...
Athena's gonna loosely smile when he says that.
Which part?
Whiskey didn't even give him his name. That's great. Way to go, buddy.
Like he said, he's not even sure or not because the day's been so stressful. He can't remember. He genuinely doesn't remember if Mike gave his name or not. But he's saying, basically, even though I got off on the wrong foot with them, I don't want anything bad happening to them on my account. I don't want to live with that kind of guilt. But
Athena's going to nod knowingly.
and Athena's saying that they have friends that'll keep them safe, right?
They have friends that keep them safe, and if that isn't enough, in their opinion, we can step in to assist as well. In such a way that it won't leave a massive mess. Are these terms agreeable to you, Mr. Powell?
He just goes quiet for a minute and just again stares off into the middle distance. He sighs, stands up, and kind of paces a little. And you can read his body language pretty clearly that he's deliberating. Are you going to give him time, or
Yep.
are you going? Okay.
She's just going to sit very quietly, hands clasped together, sitting in her lap, looking ahead and down.
Eventually he'll stop and he'll look to Athena and say, I really need to talk to Piper about this, but I get the impression that I can't tell her everything. This is going to put me in a real difficult position with her, because she needs someone in her life that she can rely on, and I was going to try to be that someone, but obviously I can't. So I'm gonna see what I can do to talk to her, and then I think what's for the best is if you give me some kind of contact information that I can reach out to you and let you know how that conversation goes, and that's the best I can think of.
Athena's going to smile. I'm going to roll an insight to see, not insight, sorry, judge intelligence. This is the wrong system. To see if he looks like he's swaying more on the side of he really is going to agree to help, versus Athena's going to drop the mask, stand up, sigh, and punch him in the throat.
You get the distinct impression that he really does genuinely want to do the right thing. It's just he feels that he's trapped in, like he's pushed up in the corner. He's stuck between two really impossible situations. The choices that he has to make here are shit, in his opinion, but he understands the significance and the importance, and he's going to do his best to make the right decision, but in his mind, the right decision involves letting Piper make the decision.
We've already known what her decision is.
None of you have actually talked to Piper yet.
You're correct, but she was, if assuming that hasn't been the keystone that we've been missing, Piper set up this meeting willingly.
I will say that your initial assumptions about Piper were just that, assumptions.
Yep. This. I've realized that none of us have talked to her in the same way. That none of us knew and had a lot of information in the same way. That I wanted to put off the interview from the get-go. I wanted that because we have such short notice and everything is being rushed. So Athena's going to turn to him and be like, can you at least promise me to put off the interview for at least a couple of hours to give yourself and her some time to think?
I was going to have her come in for the interview. We just wouldn't proceed with what Pulford was expecting.
Oh.
Sorry, allow me to rephrase that. There
Is that
wouldn't
in
be
character or out of character rephrasing?
No, he would
Okay.
in character say. Allow me to rephrase that. My standard interview procedure has been canceled. I want to just talk to Piper.
So Athena looks like she's calculating and then nods with a smile of relief, like her shoulders relax. It would be too much to ask to be allowed to sit in a different room, or she starts like playing with her hand just above her lap, fidgeting a bit, because this is out of character, asking too much, and she knows that she's pushing the envelope, but B, important in case anything goes wrong.
So go ahead and roll a negotiation.
Okay, this one I'm going to edge for edge number 4. Let's look down the list. Same thing as before. Fucking sevens, man. Fucking sevens. And there's a secret roll being done. Oh.
Not secret, out in
Okay.
the open. He'll say, I'm not really comfortable with you being in my apartment. Would you feel comfortable waiting in the stairwell or in the hallway or something else?
I'm immediately worried that she'll see me and recognize me of some.
Just wait on a different floor, and I'll text you when she arrives.
I would appreciate that. That sounds agreeable. If
Okay.
someone comes with her I know that you're a very perceptive man. I can see it in your eyes. If someone comes in with her that makes her look very uncomfortable, can you tell me in advance?
She's supposed to be arriving alone. If anyone
Yes.
else comes with her, then something's gone wrong.
Yes. She blinks and waits for a confirmation for her request.
He seems to have segued it.
Oh, as in he's agreed to it without saying it?
He hasn't given you an agreement or disagreement to it. He's literally segued to say that if someone else does show up, then something has gone wrong. That is exactly what he said.
Now, if something goes wrong, is that something you can tell me? Or is that something that you have to tell your boss first? Is that something?
It's actually, you know what? Roll a leadership here.
Okay, I'm not gonna edge this one. Maybe we should have.
Interesting that your leadership is lower than your other ones.
Yep, I just did not have enough power. It's one lower, so is
Okay.
gymnastics.
Okay. He'll say it's. I'll keep the line open for you. Does that sound good?
She nods. What time is it at this point?
Yeah, it's probably close to noon.
Okay, so it's getting really close. She shows up at 1. If she shows up exactly in time. So she nods and then looks at her comm link. He's like, well, I've taken plenty of your time. I appreciate what you've given me. She like straightens up and straightens her dress a little bit. Then starts towards the door, apologizing for taking his time and thanking him for his understanding and his time. Does he stop her or make any comments?
He thanks her for being direct about this whole thing. He doesn't really have a great stomach for lying.
She's going to give a little bit of like an awkward smile and nod and apologize for that. She's gonna put a hand on the handle. He's like, my comlink information. I almost forgot to give you that. I'm checking Athena if she has a second or disposable comlink. Because if not, she doesn't.
So which of her identifications is she sharing?
Well, Chloe's from Poland. That's a lot nearer. There we go. But the second thing is does any fuck? Does anyone here have a disposable comlink?
If you
Athena
were
wouldn't know
to
it.
Sybil's
pass-
brain.
Nobody. She doesn't know about Sybil's brain, so she doesn't know anyone has an immediately available comlink. Yep, she doesn't know about that organ. So she's going to have to
Mike
get Chloe to
does,
Poland.
but he doesn't use it for normal contact, so she might not know without asking.
Nope. And she didn't ask in advance.
So Chloe it is.
Chloe it is.
Also, it's a shame you're not letting anybody know about this.
Oh, it's being recorded, which is not being live streamed.
That's a problem, because
The moment of what?
the moment he tries to contact Piper, his text
Assuming
is
he doesn't
getting...
immediately try to contact her, Sybil's going to get the thing first, and hopefully get through it before he tries to contact her, or his first call will fail, and he'll try again, because he's probably very worried.
Oh, no. Remember, Sybil's exact plan was that it would send a message saying, I have to reschedule.
Perfect. So, they're both going... Wait, if he sends her multiple messages, what happens?
I have to reschedule. I have to reschedule. I have
I
to
can't tell if you're
reschedule.
kidding or not.
That's the
No.
instructions the sprite was given.
See, I thought it would... Can you kill the sprite? Can you take it back?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I
So?
have to find out very quickly.
You're gonna have to. Yeah, she's gonna close the door, start taking some steps, and send it to everyone. Reconnect and then send it in like the same step.
But yeah, so I think we've kind of resolved that full circle.
Yep.
How do the rest of you react to Athena's revelations here?
I thought we weren't supposed to do that, but
What, supposed to do what?
reveal anything about corporation.
He's already shown that he's a small enough pigeon that after we get him to get the use out of him that we need to, he can be eliminated.
So I'm figuring that, well, from what you've been suggesting, you're pretty much pitting me out against Polfat, if not short term, eventually in the long term, from what you're describing.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Well, just before you do, Orchid says, okay, that's not bad. If this works, but we should be close enough to like snatch her if worse comes to much worse. And then what El Diablo was saying as Whiskey is the way this has gone is Whiskey now feels that Athena has basically put Whiskey's back against the wall with Paulford. That maybe not right away, but Whiskey has made herself apparent enough to Paulford in all of this that now that things aren't working out in Paulford's favor, Paulford's likely going to come after Whiskey.
How would everyone like this to be the last mission in England? Or to kill a slumlord of unknown strength?
I'm not against it all. It just means, well, I have some prep work to do.
Well, I mean, that was the best I could think of doing, and I'm sorry, I Whiskey, I get you. I really didn't want to fuck your character over, but
No, oh, Seely, you have absolutely not fucked my character over.
Okay, that is
And as
good
you
to
say,
hear.
Whiskey does not even sound terribly angry about this. It's more like, all right, I'm going to have to work on this then next. That's basically the tone she is portraying.
So then Okami, Mike, Sybil.
Sybil's first reaction is to cancel the task that she gave the sprite.
Okay. So you still have 4 more tasks though.
Okami's gonna be, well, it's good that this is handled, but we gotta keep an eye out to see if any jobs come up that's gonna come up against us or go against Polford, because we probably need to strike first before he does.
To be fair, Pulford's only really knowing Whiskey was involved in this, and assuming that Pete gets disappeared quickly enough, he won't be able to indict Athena or West End Mike.
Yeah, but he knows who Whiskies has worked with so far because we've always gone to the Hammersmith.
Yeah, there is that.
But there's a lot
And
of
it's all
people.
on security cameras, so that's like all
Yeah,
but...
yeah. Is he okay? So let's get the
characters.
total amount of people that have ever showed up at the Hammersmith with her. So assuming,
That's everyone's character.
yes, that is
That's every
everyone's
single
character. So you're going to tell me that he
Problem.
thinks that every single person is involved? Okay. Assuming just our characters hang out with her.
Okay,
That's what-
Twister, the other
Yeah.
point here is you're assuming he's a reasonable man and not a scorched earth motherfucker.
We've
Okay.
already seen he's scorched earth, or at least has some kind of mental arrangement by beating a man to death with a dildo.
Yeah, so he is a very angry person. We know this.
The two easiest options is A, kill him before he has a chance to even think about killing us, or B, leaving it.
What about Orchid's comment here?
Oh,
Orchid says as well, if you want me, sorry. To be fair, Whiskey, I don't mean to offer you good advice, but what you need to do is find a different, bigger fish for your boss to distract him after this. Although, if you want, we can make it look like you were part of a team and we betray you or something. Maybe knock you out?
Ooh, that one sounds like she's incompetent and needs to be punished or dealt with.
Well, if someone just like tases a troll and the troll falls over, then that's suspicious. If someone hits a troll hard enough to break her bones with maybe a water attack, maybe she'll be forgiven.
That's a
Or
good
if somebody
point. We're all
pumps
gonna-
her up with enough sedatives that it would put a elephant to sleep.
Yeah, but sedatives is the sort of thing where it's like, no, you were incompetent if you allowed anyone to get drugs into you.
Not if we show wounds of her getting tranked like 6 or 7 times in the back.
Oh, you're saying like actual trank darts.
And to be fair,
Yeah.
if you do it like that, then you just put a bigger target on you guys' head.
Yeah, but who are we? Does he know anything?
Well, he'd ask Whiskey who did this to you.
Yes. I
And
think,
hey, if Athena's running away anyway.
but Orchid, your first advice on the bigger fish, yeah, that's definitely something I'm keeping my mind on. Something to plan after this.
And
Oh, that's
Orchid-
true.
Oh, and I
or-
would like to ask. The videos in the Hammersmith, they're attached to the Matrix?
Probably CCT. All on its own node.
Then, yeah, they might still have images of Sybil from the first time they...
Oh, no, Sybil, using her special quality, has an advantage there. The issue is everybody else will still be on those videos. Orchid will also say, or make it seem like we betray you and like you rush to your boss to help tracking them down, like maybe give us a few of us an alibi. We go off on a wild goose chase and maybe get paid on both ends.
I can make it one step more believable. Because this is still Athena. So she doesn't know why she's not allowed to get in trouble with other maker corporations. And I'm pretty sure at this point, I'm pretty sure I've done a good enough job that they're not actually going to get in trouble. Correct?
Unless Powell was lying to you and you had no idea, but you've
Right.
done
but
pretty
you never
well.
asked me to, I mean, other than the judge intentions that I asked if I could make, you didn't make me roll any. So
I thought I asked you for a couple in the earlier end, but just kind of establish his personality. In any event, we don't need to. It's already 10:11
Yeah.
at night. So, does Anyone want to continue with this mission, or shall we wrap it up completely here and now?
I think there's nothing left to do, so wrapping it up right here would be good.
Anything that spills over too drastically can make for another mission.
Yeah, I figured the whole Pulford enmity, possible enemy thing, that's something that can spill over into, other things and missions and character development in the future.
All right, so then the only decision we have to make here is Athena going to beat Whiskey senseless and leave her holding the bag, as it were, for Pulford's benefit?
Do you want me to just beat her?
Well, this
want
is
me to
the
beat half
this is the question. Who wants Athena to beat up your character and or Whiskey? Who thinks that it's necessary?
Actually, I could summon a spirit, make it look like something else, be a masking, and just beat the shit out of Whiskey there, and she says she got attacked by some magical shit. It is London.
Yeah, no, but we don't need to bother with that because Twister's taking a break, a sabbatical. So we've got Athena anyway. It's appropriate.
I wouldn't mind seeing how well Athena does hitting each person once. Yeah, I could accidentally kill Orchid, so that's probably a bad idea to go after her.
And Sybil.
And Sybil. Mike?
If that's what's got to happen, I guess that's what's got to happen. Or, I'm just not entirely sure that's what's got to happen.
Well, your face has been seen. They know who you are.
The only one who saw Mike's face was Powell anyway.
And the security cameras.
Security cameras of this building that isn't necessarily associated with Pulford.
Okay. But is it within his stalking grounds? Are we willing to risk it?
It's within his stomping ground, so that is the decision you have to make here.
Are you willing to risk it? Or do you want to just take a punch?
Here's the thing. I would prefer, Well, my thinking is maybe do the punching and everything after we get paid by Miss Jane, or Mrs. Jane.
Why is that to do with anything, though?
Well, because if I get punched and say, oh, this Athena lady, she betrayed us and she went for all the money herself, and then later I show up with a whole bunch of cash, Pulford is gonna be suspicious anyway.
Well, don't let him know of your financial situation and you won't have to worry about it then, I suppose.
Yeah, that's kind of hard for me. The kind of the leash he has on me is a financial one.
Well, let's see. Because this can't wait. If you want me to give you a solid enough alibi, it's going to happen soon. Sooner than him getting upset at you. So, yeah, one of them can hold your money. Not
Orchid suggests one of us holds the money, or Pirate holds your money.
Pirate.
The thing is, I want to pay off my debt to Pulford.
Well,
Yeah,
you can do it over time.
And you could always say, I got a loan from my sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then have her show up with your money. And then you owe her one now, due to the fact that she gave you a very solid alibi.
Well, fine. Though I prefer just to go for the full-on gang warfare than all this deception and trickery and everything. I doubt it will work.
As absolutely delicious as that would be, I've got a skedaddle. Now, is Mike also taking one for the team?
If Whiskey gets punched, he'll get punched. It's going to suck.
Question?
Yep.
Is it possible for Sybil's sprite to edit the video footage to remove Mike from it?
You'd have to hack into all of the, it's possible, but it's not an easy task.
There's like probably like 3 or 4 things you gotta hack into just to get to where you need to go before you can do the editing.
And bearing in mind how many cameras there are.
And how many
Yeah.
cameras you might potentially miss. So
And
instead,
the sprite will disappear after 8 hours,
Yeah,
regardless of how many jobs it has left to do.
I'm going to press send now. Good luck. You want to try to lower that as much as you can. She isn't holding back. It's stun, but it'll hurt.
It'll overflow.
It'll overflow your stun. Roll with half impact plus body.
Well, that's
you-
assuming that they're not evading at all.
Are you
True.
hitting center of mass? Or are you going for like limbs? Where exactly are you
So
hitting?
that's center,
Center
of
of
mass.
mass.
Okay, so this can rupture some ribs into some vital organs.
Yes. You're
But-
going to be injured and have a fantastic alibi.
We still have to establish Whiskey. Are you agreeing to this?
True.
With not, she is with much. She doesn't like it, but she'll accept it.
Okay.
Okay, what armor are you wearing, Whiskey?
Should
Well,
let
at
you
this
put on
point, still just a suit.
Sure, you can put on some armor.
It's your call, Whiskey, if you
Well,
want
no,
to.
it would be silly if Whiskey suddenly went to there with armor on. If this is an unexpected betrayal.
Okay, that's an excellent point. So you're getting your suit watery as well. So are you going to try to evade the attack at all, or are you going to take the full hit?
She would suggest you try to avoid the attack. If it takes more than one hit to hit you, that's fine. But a glancing blow may not kill you.
So Whiskey, are you going to attempt block, for example, or a dodge, or something of that nature?
A block then, I think.
Okay, roll your unarmed skill, and you get to add your reach.
Yeah, this isn't even worth a kick. This is a punch.
And
so
reach is always 2 for a troll, right?
No, reach is always 1. It's your
Okay.
sword that gives you another 1 on top.
Okay, so it's 1. Okay.
Mike, you have to roll to dodge this one too.
No, let's do these
Oh,
one at
sorry.
a. Oh, he's already rolled. Okay.
Roll-
Mike, what are you wearing?
Thankfully, I am wearing both my form-fitting suit and at least my casual clothes, if not
All right. So your impact armor reduced by half, rounding up.
Yeah.
Wow, Whiskey, very good. You deflected the vast majority
That is exactly
of
what
it.
I wanted.
Well,
So-
except Whiskey's the one who could take the blow. Mike, not
That's
so
true.
much.
That's true.
We also
Just
gotta
hold
take
back
into
another-
account you're using killing hands plus your water.
Not killing
elemental
hands.
effects.
Not
Critical
hands.
strike.
Correct.
Critical
Yeah.
strike, but are you adding the
Not
water
lethal.
elemental effect?
Yes.
That's why it's half impact armor.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, are we doing this somewhere where it's caught on camera?
Probably. She gathered
Yeah,
you
that
there.
sounds like a good idea.
Probably in the same building. You guys would probably approach her and do like acting out that you're yelling at her. Like,
Oh,
what
no,
did
no,
you
no.
do?
No,
Why
no,
did
no,
you
no.
do this? And then bow, bow.
Probably both taking a step back, and then Whiskey tries to slap the hand away, but it just doesn't stop it, or it pushes it to the side of the body. Oh, fuck. You blocked 5 out of 19 points of damage, by the way. Starting with your stun, count up.
Wait. Okay, 5. Okay, yeah, because
So
5 out of
14.
19, so that's 14 stun,
14
eh?
points of stun. Now
So
Whiskey.
overflow. That's the West End Mike.
Yeah, now Whiskey.
Oh, now Whiskey. I thought you said 2 Whiskey.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's -1 physical after all the stun gets filled.
Wait, what? Is West End Mike really? No, that can't be that weak. A gnome would still be able to survive that hit.
What, 14 stun damage?
Yeah.
Yes, I am very much out of it, but yeah, I took 4 boxes of physical damage. I will live.
Yeah, that's good. Because she doesn't want to kill people. I really... Oh, no. So that's 6. Okay, so you take 10. You take 13.
That's a horrible roll for...
It is.
But then
1
again,
out of
she is
14.
trying to get hurt, so...
Just...
So Athena used a splash attack. It was super effective.
Yeah, I was honestly thinking about edging the punch against Whiskey. Just for the extra joke of it all. But I'm glad I didn't do it.
Yeah,
She could take even more of a beating. She's a tough cookie.
Wait, does it fill up? Does 13 fill up your stun chart?
Yes, it does. I have 10 stun.
Good. So you're unconscious as well. I don't need to hit you again, because that was the second answer. If either of you were still conscious, you were going to be knocked unconscious.
Whiskey has no more stun damage capability than Mike. That's surprising.
Yeah, I guess stun is just stopped at Oh wait,
I think stun is, yeah.
no. Athena's got 11.
Willpower is basically what it is.
Ah, yes, and Whiskey's willpower is decent, but not super great.
You both have 4. Because Athena has 5.
Anyway, so you've thoroughly knocked both of us.
I just...
You might have to apologize to Sybil next you see her.
I have 14 boxes in my physical damage before I go into black boxes.
Yeah, now
So
that...
this would have killed... Oh, this would have put you on the edge had
Oh
you...
yeah, but she's got 11 overbleed boxes.
Nice. So, I really could have punched you twice or edged it. That would have been an issue.
Yeah, but still, we don't need to
We
go
don't
that
need to see
far.
that.
So this is kind of a grand finale for Athena and Twister. I hope your sabbatical doesn't take you away from us for
Okay.
too long. What was
Just
that?
to see. That would have been the roll. I would have gotten 1 more hit. It wouldn't matter. It's really
But-
disappointing.
But to wrap up this mission, the Mrs. Jane will be. Actually, I guess we should do it in order. Powell will talk to Piper, and he'll basically explain things to her that some bad people have figured out who she is, and he understands that she might not care about what that might do to the people she cares about, and that Piper might not even care necessarily about bad people doing things to Piper, but he appeals to her sense of what's the word I'm looking for? Good? Fuck, I can't think of
Decency?
decency. Thank you. Appeals to her sense of decency about, making sure that someone as corrupt and awful as Pulford doesn't get ahead in life. That, maybe Posey wants to stick it to her mom, and maybe Posey doesn't really care what happens to herself. But someone like Pulford can't be given the opportunity to get any further ahead in life than he already is. To ransom her or to blackmail her is just it's just another step down into the descent of total criminal anarchy kind of thing. And that Powell's like, I am going to be disappearing. I'm going to be running away. And Posey asks, can I come with you? And he's like, you know what? Maybe that's the best choice for us. Maybe we just need to start a new life somewhere else. But I don't want you to burn your bridges. I want you to be able to have a way to get back home if things don't work out with me. And Athena, you can't see him as he's having this conversation, but you still get the impression that he's being honest with Posey. He's not being manipulative. He's explaining the situation to her without revealing specifics, other than the fact that he works for Pulford, and Pulford's a horrible human being, and that their lives are at risk, basically. So he has to run. And eventually, they come to the agreement that Powell will run away, Posey will meet up with him, and they'll see if they can work something out. If not, he's making sure that Posey isn't destroying her relationship with her mother, because even if things don't seem good right now, maybe someday Posey and Mrs. Jane can, he doesn't use that name, by the way. He just says your mother, can eventually reunite. I imagine, Athena, you'd then have your confrontation with Whiskey and Mike on the cameras out front of this building, do your double tap, knocking them both down, and then running off. And then eventually, when the time comes, Whiskey and Mike, who wants to lead the con role when Pulford calls you into the office and asks you to explain what happened?
Oh God, please no.
I'm guessing that Mike would probably be the smart one for that.
Okay, how many times has Mike dealt with Pulford in the past? Ever?
Directly? I actually don't think so.
I don't think Mike was on the job where we actually interacted with Pulford.
Roll your empathy software, half of the hits to start off. Rounding up. Okay, so a +1 from the empathy. Whiskey, do you want to just provide a +2 bonus, or do you want to roll to see if you provide a bigger or smaller bonus to Mike?
Just a +2. That's better than I can achieve currently.
Okay, so Whiskey's basically going to keep her mouth shut and say, Mike does the talking. He'll explain this better than I will.
Okay, hopefully I will have healed up by then, so I can ignore the wound modifier. Or at least the -3 from the stun.
At the very least, you could pop some drugs of some sort to at least compensate. Actually, Okami, do you have any healing magic? Oh, wait, no, shit.
none of my characters took.
And it was a magic attack anyway,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah.
well, first aid, some painkillers. I think, Mike, you can... wait, how much of overbleed physical? 4?
Yeah, 4 points of
So give
overbleed.
yourself a -1 then.
But all the stun damage goes away.
Yeah, we'll say the stun damage got to go away, but you haven't got the physical treated yet.
All right, let's see here. So let me do my math here.
It's your con +2. And if you have any edge left. Then again, do you want to pre-edge or post-edge in case things go wrong?
Let's try pre-edging this one.
Don't forget my +2.
It's in there. Right? Yes, right. Good. Okay. I have no idea what that was about.
Well, I just realized Pink basically fucked off, so the
Gotta
split
recalculate.
is now a 6... Sorry, what?
Gotta recalculate the split of the money.
Yeah, so it's a 6-way split rather than a 7-way split.
That's not a great roll for that many dice, but hopefully it's not terrible.
It's 6 hits. That's pretty good. I mean, not for that many dice, but it's pretty good.
Pulford is suspicious, but he's going to ask for any corroborating evidence. You'll probably mention this happened out front of that building, so I mean, there's probably a police report we could file, but we're criminals, so why would we file a police report? but, maybe you can pull some strings to get the security footage.
I got some
And-
friends with the police. Whoa.
But yeah, eventually he'll buy it, but he's not happy with either of you. So you're on his shit list, but not his kill list.
Yeah, we both walk out with all of our body parts intact. Or at least as intact as we walked in with them. All right, then.
Oh.
As for our hackers and our mages, any final touches from any of you for this job?
I'm guessing Athena's burning her comm links, isn't she?
Probably. The one that she has now been burned, as he knows about it. But she probably wouldn't do it immediately.
So Athena would say her goodbyes to everyone, basically saying, you know what, I think I'm done in London. I'll catch up with you guys somewhere else someday. Does that sound
Sybil
appropriate?
needs to do this.
Aye, and next time I'll be hitting back. So just so you know.
Athena smiles, puts the back of her hand on Whiskey's shoulder. You can try to hit me back.
Wait, so you're actually doing this meeting in person?
Oh,
not
no,
over the
no,
comm?
no.
I'm kidding. It's a reference to the Dark Knight where Bane puts a hand on someone's shoulder. He was like, I'm in power here, I gave you money. He was like, you think this gives you power over me? Sorry.
I get you. So what was that composure about, Sybil?
If you
That's to
cry.
determine what. No, that's to determine how pissed Sybil is when she sees the damage that Mike took. 'cause-
Hey, Mike agreed to it. Mike was in on this whole
Yeah.
scheme.
I saved his fucking life.
So
That
really
just lowers
simple.
the DC.
If you just want to be angry at anyone, be angry at Mike for agreeing to this.
Which also might be possible.
Because of the fact that Mike agreed to it and you saved his life, she is not going to put a virus on the comm link that you have yet to get rid of.
I mean, it's going to go into the hands of a mega corporation. So by not doing it, you've stopped Sybil from being discovered by a mega corporation. Good luck. Good job.
Uh,
That would have been a very bad idea. It's a good thing that you passed that.
All right. Well, Twister, like I said, I hope your sabbatical isn't a terribly long one. And look forward to having you come back to us someday. And I hope you had a lot of fun this evening for your finale.
I did. I'm sorry if I kind of dominated the floor with the interview at the end.
Well, it kind of makes sense, though. You should get your screen time special,
And it makes sense narratively on top of it, so
And you
We're
helped
good.
us from not fucking up, so good.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys would have handled it had I not. But it's like Athena was literally did nothing to this point except tell people what to do. So she
That is her speciality. She wants to be the leader, so it's appropriate to her story. And she rides off into the foggy sunset. Or is that just someone casting a sustained fireball?
No, that's just pollution.
No, but then what's the big glow is the point. There's a big
oh, she's got a
glowing
glowing
orb.
personality, of course.
Oh, it's
But
her.
anyways.
That glow is just her. Okay.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
ascended. That's all. But anyways, have a good night, everybody.
Have a
Uh,
great night, Twister. And
I'm still
sorry, go
gonna
ahead.
be in BBM and everything. It's not like I'm
Yes.
dying.
Oh yeah. No. Well,
Okay. Just
but you're
making sure
leaving-
everyone
you're-
knows.
Yes, but you're leaving this campaign, and like
Yeah.
I said, you will be missed. So, thank you to everyone, and also have a pleasant evening.